wanting to lead graves in Kenya. We want to lead people who are alive, and Kenyans should not live in fear. Thank you.
Member for Tigania West. He's not here. Member for Ugenya.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to also join fellow members in congratulating you for being elected Deputy Speaker for the 13th Parliament. Madam Speaker, I know who you are. I know how you take matters seriously, and I know that this Parliament is in good hands with you as Deputy Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to also take this opportunity to thank the people of Ugenya, who against all odds have stood with me, who against all odds have seen me come back to this Parliament, even when everyone thought that I would not come back, even when everyone who cared had written me off, Madam Speaker. I want to thank the people of President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency William Ruto, on the 29th of September this year. The fact that our democracy is growing, the fact that our democracy is maturing, the fact that a time is going to come when elections will just be a matter of course. They will not cause jitters, they will not cause opprobrium, they will not cause panic in the country. Madam Speaker, if you looked at the economy before the elections and now, and if you remember what we have gone through in some times in elections, Madam Speaker, you'd appreciate the fact that the president is recognizing that we've come so far in our democracy is important. What I must say at this point, Madam Speaker, is that the fact that our democracy is maturing should not be taken for granted. We must continue nurturing it so that the president has promised, and we must keep nudging him as an assembly, that he must run an accountable government, an open government, a transparent government, Mr. Speaker. As in Kenya Kwanza, will ensure that the president carries out his role in a manner that the law requires and in a manner that follows the law. As someone said earlier, Madam Speaker, our president is not one who is averse to criticism. He is not one who wants us to be a choir in this assembly. He is one who has said that he does not have monopoly of knowledge. He is one who has said that he wants to share the views of this country, the views of this parliament, to ensure that what the country needs gets into his thinking, interferes with his thoughts, and he has said that this parliament should not be timid. This parliament should not sit back. This parliament should oversight his government accordingly. And I want to invite all of us to take the president's challenge and ensure that he runs a government that responds to the needs of our people. Madam Speaker, number two, most importantly, is the place of education in the growth of our economy. The acceleration does not mean that we throw education out and anything goes. The acceleration means that everybody who has a chance and wants to get education, everyone who wants to get his papers right, everyone wants to grow by ensuring that their children access education, their children get the best quality of education, Mr. Speaker, in this country, Madam Speaker, in this country is able to get it. That, Madam Speaker, the president wants to run a country based on merit. And so I want to ask all of us not to give up on education. It's a key thing. And that's why when I hear the court saying that anybody can run for governor, that anybody can run for MP, that education doesn't matter, Mr. Speaker, we are sending the wrong signal, Mr. Speaker. And I want to ask all of us to ensure that wherever we come from, education is the only equalizer to anything in this world. If you didn't go to school, Madam Speaker, you won't end anywhere. And so investing in education is something that we must keep talking about, that we must keep doing, that we must ensure that as a country, our best, as the premise of Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew had said, that we must be led by the best in our midst. We must be led by people who know what is required in the country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, The president talked about investing in agriculture. Our country is agriculture-based. What we must do as a people is to ensure that we become food secure. And how do you do so? Madam Speaker, we must invest at the lowest level of the economy. Everyone who wants to farm should be able to access quality seed, affordable fertilizer, Madam Speaker. If it's avocado, if it is cotton, if it is maize, if it is millet, if it is potato. Let's ensure that everybody who is willing to use his energy, everyone who is willing to use her energy to benefit, to earn a living in this country, Madam Speaker, is supported. And that's why we're going to be requesting, and we're going to ensure this parliament that we sort out the supply side constraints and the demand side constraints on agriculture. Let's ensure that our people are able to be taught. Let's bring back the extension service officers that used to help us in agriculture. Let's bring back, Madam Speaker, the ensuring that people are able to know the modern methods of farming, modern methods of cooling milk, modern methods of ensuring that our farm produce don't go into waste because we don't have storage facilities, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, irrigation is very important for food security and stability, Madam Speaker. The failure of Galana Kulalu is very fresh in our minds. The failure of dams is very fresh in our minds, Madam Speaker. And so we'll be ensuring as an assembly that where money is put in agriculture for irrigation, where money is put to ensure that our people become food secure, as an assembly, we must ensure that the money is used for the right reasons. Corruption should not seep into monies that are meant to benefit our people, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've heard so many members saying that the president didn't talk about corruption. Madam Speaker, I don't believe that barking at corruption, I don't believe that shouting at corruption makes it go away. The approach adopted by our president that says that we will ensure that institutions that are supposed to fight corruption are well-funded, well-resourced, well-equipped, Madam Speaker, better speaks for itself than people in this assembly, in the last parliament, Madam Speaker, and the other one. In the last parliament, the last president brought us here a list of PSS, ministers, Madam Speaker, who he claimed were corrupt. To date, none of them has ever been convicted by the court of law. Madam Speaker, I don't think we should be asking our president to talk about corruption. We should be asking those who have given that job to do by law. There's no law that requires the president to fight corruption. The law is set up in this assembly and in the constitution sets up the EACC. It's the body that fights corruption, not the president. And so the president, what we want from him is to ensure that he doesn't try to stop any prosecution, he doesn't try to stop any investigation. But saying that the president must talk about corruption, fight corruption, I think for me is quite weak. We've had guys who talk about corruption every day. We will fight corruption. We will deal with corruption. But under their noses, people steal and they don't talk about it. And so the approach, in my opinion, of the president to nudge our institutions, and in this issue I want to insist that the DCI, the EACC, and our courts are the ones to blame. They're the ones that we must ensure that as an assembly we put on their toes, not the president. Corruption seeps everywhere in this country, Madam Speaker. Everywhere. Primary schools, nursery schools, everywhere you go is corruption. I don't think the president has 1,000 eyes to be checking how we live. And so fighting corruption is going to be, in my opinion, a concerted effort. All of us must play a role in it, not just saying corruption is bad and when you're found in it, then you say that you're being, witch-hunted, Madam Speaker. We must put the blame where it lies. Madam Speaker, the president proposes a very good project on housing. All we need to do as this assembly is to ensure that, as he has said, if it's doors, they'll be bought in Kisumu if the house is being built in Kisumu. If you're building houses in Kakamega, let the doors, the hinges, the windows be produced in Kisumu, Madam Speaker. Finally, Madam Speaker, this president means well. We cannot pray that he fails, because if he fails, we fail. I want to ask all of us here, the minority and the majority, let's pray for this president to succeed. Let's help him succeed. For if he succeeds, we succeed and the country succeeds. Thank you so much.
Let's go first to the next member. Then. Member for Baringo North.
Thank you,
Give us a
Madam.
minute, just let him finish. And
Thank
then
you, Madam
can-
Speaker. First and foremost, I want to thank God through the people of Baringo North who gave me an opportunity to become a member of parliament on this 13th parliament, a dream that started in 1984 when I was in Standard 4. But when I saw parliament then I said, this is truly where I shall be in many years to come. Madam Speaker, I also want to thank the people of Baringo North in all their wards, their religious leaders, and even the people who prayed for me, and the Simba Nimocha campaign team, which delivered victory in a military precision. Madam Speaker, I also want to thank the people of Baringo North, together with the people of Kenya, for giving His Excellency the President William Samoei Ruto an opportunity to become the 50th President of the Republic of Kenya, and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua. And more specifically, Madam Speaker, I want to extend on behalf of the people of Baringo North, which told me over this weekend, to also convey thanks to the people of Mount Kenya who gave us a huge vote, together with the other Kenyans who actually gave us an opportunity to elect William Ruto as our 50th president and the deputy president. And through us who have been elected, Madam Speaker, we had an opportunity to elect you and the Speaker of the National Assembly, and I want to congratulate you because, first, citizens. Secondly, members of parliament. Thirdly, you are the product of our election. Congratulations, Madam Speaker, together with the Speaker of the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, now turning to the President's speech. Madam Speaker, William Ruto is a product of God's work, because this is a man that was fought by all manner of things, including systems, including government machinery, but God, through prayer, state capture, all those things were actually able to succeed. Madam Speaker, it gives us freedom as a country that a son of a pauper, a son from a village, even like myself, who started knowing my first mattress as a skin of a cow, can one day rise to become the President of Kenya. Madam Speaker, I want to also congratulate members for the first time who have been elected, just as myself, to be in this 13th parliament, the people who were being referred in quotes as monos. Madam Speaker, we could be monos by here, but mentally we are not monos, and we cannot be taken for a ride. We have the power to debate, and we have the power to bring in legislation in this House that can actually change the country in a positive trajectory. Madam Speaker, to other senior colleagues, I also want to congratulate you because you utilized well CDF and it brought you back here. Teach us on how to also come back next time we face another election. Madam Speaker, on the President's speech, I want to say this government, the Kenya Kwanza government, has a bigger mandate across the political divide in this country. If you look at the last election, 39 counties, William Ruto got 25% in 39 counties. It means it has progressively moved from 30 counties in 2013, 34 counties, and now the election of this president is 39 counties. That means there is a broader mandate and acceptance across Kenya. And that is why, immediately after the results were done, and even the Supreme Court, Kenyans kept their cool and actually kept this country a breathing space to be able to transact business. Madam Speaker, on unity of purpose. Madam Speaker, we have one president. Once elected president, any other person, Madam Speaker, are subject to the president. And they will be able to transact business in a manner that is acceptable to all Kenyans, regardless of how they voted in the last elections. Similarly to myself, Madam Speaker, whether they voted for me or not, I will serve them justly because it was a competition. And once we have a winner, we should be able to treat all of them the same way without discrimination. Madam Speaker, even in these appointments of cabinet, the proposed nominees, you can look at it, there is a spread across Kenya, and it brings a lot of unity in our country. So I want to say that on the matter of what is called Fulisa, CRB, credit and access to credit for the people of Kenya, Madam Speaker, it's not enough. I want to congratulate the President for actually intervening. But it's not enough. I was doing research and realized that the Central Bank of United Arab Emirates base interest rate is given at 4.35 at maximum. Madam Speaker, I am looking forward to a country, this country, Kenya, when a borrower will borrow a loan at 3% per annum so that they will be able to do business. For a long time, this country, Kenyans have been working for banks instead of the banks working for the people of Kenya. I will be one of those members of parliament that will bring legislation to bring down interest rates charged for the Kenyans who are borrowing money to do business in Kenya, so that we can be able to actually make profits and have businesses that can prosper, and even reduce the taxes. Madam Speaker, in my place, my biggest town is called Kabarnet, and women go to Uganda to bring clothes. I wonder, a country called Uganda, which is landlocked, actually people going to buy goods and services from Uganda. Why? Because there are too much taxes in our country. We should look at a situation where we reduce taxes, including VAT, if we were able to reduce during the days of COVID. Why don't we reduce now that we are normal? We reduce the interest rates charged on VAT to 12%, so that Kenyans can be able to do business. The Asala Nation government talks about spreading the bottom taxes so that we have more. But we can also reduce the VAT in this country, even pay. Madam Speaker, just the other day when we were being served with pay slips, Madam Speaker, you see money being given in the right hand and taken on the left hand. Madam Speaker, as honorable members of this House, we must be able to look at legislation on taxes so that they don't become punitive for the people of Kenya. We must be able to reduce taxes so that we can actually attract investors to bring money to our country so that we can be able to do much more and develop as a country. Madam Speaker, I want to agree with His Excellency the President on the issue of agriculture, irrigation. Honorable members, if we don't secure food security for this country, if our stomachs are not sorted out, no matter things that we do, there is nothing that they can develop in this country. Let us first of all sort out the food security of our country so that we have food on the table and people can be able to work and be able to generate, and we can move to a middle income economy to even first world. So I agree that if we can pump water for irrigation so that we don't rely on rain-fed agriculture, we rely on irrigation, Madam Speaker, we shall change. And finally, Madam Speaker, because I've seen the lights and I have a lot for the country, is that, Madam Speaker, if we sort out education, school fees, and sort out food, and sort out health through universal health care, those three things, this country will change forever, because you will have sorted out the fundamentals that affect human life. Madam Speaker, I want to raise my case there and say, in the years to come, and in these years of Parliament, I will do more to reshape the direction of development in this country, in this Parliament. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Now we'll have the member for Isiolo County, after which we'll have the member for Kilifi North, then the member for Naivasha. Allow the member to make his intervention.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This being the last afternoon to discuss the presidential address, I would kindly seek your indulgence to direct the House so as to reduce time allocated for each member to 5 minutes so that we can amply contribute to the presidential address. Inasmuch as we also know that we are yet to make our maiden speech, may I kindly implore on you to reduce the time for each member in contributing to 5 minutes, kindly.
I think given that debate had already begun, I think that can only happen, I think, if the House so agrees. So who was giving, there was another intervention by a member for Kajiado, I think, to respond to that, then we can close.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to second the honorable member that every member here want to get an opportunity to contribute on the speech of the president. So I do support. Thank you.
Okay. Honorable members, since it's not procedural to change the time in between the debate, I think that can be something that members can agree upon, and whoever gets the next opportunity just tries to make it as brief as they can. Some members have already done it. So I think we can now proceed. Member for Isiolo.
Thank you, Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank Almighty Allah for his guidance and goodness that has seen me through all the hurdles in my journey to this house as people's representative. Madam Speaker, I also wish, in a special way, with so much humility, stand here to thank people of Isiolo for the honor, trust, and confidence they conferred on me by resoundingly electing me as their county woman MP against all odds. Madam Speaker, Isiolo people indeed demonstrated meaning of democracy in its truest form by electing me to 13th Parliament in an election that was intensely contested and strongly characterized by, sadly, not real issues affecting ordinary people, nor competencies on the part of candidates seeking leadership position, but narratives that were heavily informed by tribal, clan entitlements, endorsement, and formations that almost destroyed the social fabric on which Isiolo communities advance their well-being. Madam Speaker, as their representative, this day I proudly stand here to celebrate the resilience and determination showed by the ordinary people of Isiolo in maintaining peace and brotherhood in their grand march to the ballot, where they express their will through their votes as the ultimate decision makers. Madam Speaker, on this day, I make a solemn promise not to let them down, but to serve them diligently. Madam Speaker, now moving on to matters affecting Isiolo people and entire arid and semi-arid counties, I would like to make reference to the address by His Excellency the President on drought situation in our country, an intervention that made by governments so far. Madam Speaker, I wish to clearly state here that the situation on the ground has now moved from drought to famine. People are now dying of hunger. There's no water for human and livestock consumption. Madam Speaker, while we appreciate the food that was flagged off by His Excellency the President, I wish to state here, looking at how the situation is evolving, a lot more action needs to be undertaken urgently to save human lives and livelihoods. Madam Speaker, continuous food relief is needed from now up until 5 to 6 months after the rains. This is because even when it rains, hunger will persist up to when farmers can make the first harvest and animals can bounce back strong. Madam Speaker, I advise that in future food distribution be guided by number of households in a sub-location and the population in an area. I am saying this because, Madam Speaker, I'm sad to report to you, or to report to this House, that the consignment that was flagged off by His Excellency the President ended up at household level as just 1 kg of rice and 1 kg of beans, which, if you look at the situation on the ground, will not change anything if we are actually serious about addressing the situation. Madam Speaker, once again, in making reference to the President's address, His Excellency talked about climate change. He pointed out climate mitigation that included reducing emission of greenhouse to lessen the effects of climate change. While we appreciate that, what the President's speech missed out was the adaptation part of climate change. Madam Speaker, as we all know, the climate change effect is already upon us. We must find ways to cope with it, and this needs to happen at national and local level. So, as a country, we will continue experiencing effects of climate change in the foreseeable future, and it is important that we begin the journey on how we can cope with it. Madam Speaker, in this regard, for effective adaptation to take place, as a country, we need to invest and make use of climate information in all our planning and development decisions. It is not right that we always look surprised by failed rains and drought situation in our country, and as such, fail to take action in good time to save lives and livelihoods. Madam Speaker, still on address by the President, I was saddened by the fact that the address by His Excellency the President did touch on the security situation in my county and entire northern Kenya. Madam Speaker, for a very long time now, insecurity in northern Kenya, and specifically in Isiolo County, has become a matter of great concern. For example, Merti sub-county has now turned out to be a battlefield where militias from Wajir, Marsabit, and Samburu East walk in at will, kill, maim, and drive off herds belonging to the locals with so much impunity. Madam Speaker, lack of security has now made families displaced, schools closed down, government services to the people stopped, and strategic water points and grazing areas like a place called Matasaden, Yamicha, Nyachis, and Kom abandoned altogether by locals, making Isiolo people more vulnerable to the biting drought situation, as they now lack access to key resources that was once their drought fallback areas. Madam Speaker, a week hardly ends without an attack from these neighbors. Over the last 3 years, we've buried countless number of people with no trace and hope of recovering the herds that has been stolen. Madam Speaker, to put the matter into correct perspective, in Isiolo County, the pastoralists and their herds survived severe drought situation only to get killed and their herds stolen by militias from either Wajir, Marsabit, Garissa, or Samburu East. Madam Speaker, this has gone on unabated for far too long, and as a matter of urgency, it is time the state moves in to look into underlying drivers of this conflict with the intention to address the matter decisively and restore back respect for people's lives and their properties as guaranteed in our Constitution. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I wish to make an appeal to the government, non-government organization, well-wishers, and all Kenyans to remember Kenyans who are now starving to death and come together in Kenyan spirit like we've always done to save the situation. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Kilifi North.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And first, I would like to congratulate you on your election as our Deputy Speaker. Congratulations and all the best in your new role. You have served this Parliament very well, especially when in the Committee of Delegation, and we saw your ability and commitment to work for the people of Kenya, a trait which I'm sure you will pick up and use it in your new role as you lead this Parliament. Madam Speaker, I'm happy this afternoon to thank first the people of Kilifi North for giving me a second opportunity to lead them and also to represent them in this House. And therefore, I would like to thank them for electing me despite the fact that I came from a very hostile party environment, but God was there and here we are. Thirdly, I would like to congratulate and to note with thanks the speech of the President, that the President spoke with passion, he spoke with commitment, and he also spoke with the heart of a man that is ready to take the challenge of leading this country to the next level. Madam Speaker, if you note the President's speech, he reiterated that this country and this democracy has come of age, and that he noted that for the first time we have 6 more women elected in this Parliament, meaning therefore we have increased the number of women elected, and that gives us confidence that women leadership is on the rise. Exhibited even more, we now again having a Deputy Speaker in this Parliament that's a woman, and I think that reiterates what the President is looking at. And personally, I look forward to having more women leaders come into this Parliament so that we can look at the gender gap and bridge it. Madam Speaker, if you look at the elections again, as noted by the President, this time we had 39 counties that voted for the President, 39 counties, up from 34. What does that mean? This country is becoming more tolerant. Our democracy is becoming more mature. Our democracy is becoming, is taking shape, that we can vote in this country, not on the basis of our ethnicity, but on the basis of the ideas, on the basis of a national agenda. And people can cast their vote, can cast their vote on the basis of an agenda that has been put on the table. And the agenda that made people vote in this country was on the economic agenda. Everybody felt the economy was going down. Everybody understood we had to have a better idea on the economy. Every voter knew that it was the economy that was hurting most of us, and therefore they went to the vote and voted for one William Samoei Ruto because he had a better economic agenda than the other party. And therefore, I would like to tell Kenyans that however tough the economic times are, but we have better days ahead. These are just pangs that someone feels when giving birth, but we are looking at a better Kenya in terms of go to where Safaricom and other players were together, and he talked about the Fuliza. Today you saw him at the NSE talking about how to make the NSE, the National Stock Exchange, available to everybody. He is a president who is keen on serving the country and changing the economic fortunes of this country. Madam Speaker, this country cannot move forward unless and until we are accountable to the resources that are given to us. This parliament must put its foot down to look at accountability. We have had hemorrhage of resources. This country has lost a lot of money in the past regime through corruption, through dubious projects, through projects that were being done, not for the purpose of serving this country, but for the purpose of serving other people's pockets. We had the KEMSAs, we have roads in this country that are being built at a cost that is so astronomical that even baffles the engineers who designed them. Because somebody sitting at a table says, although the engineers tells him this road will cost us 10 million, but somebody says, no, make it 30 million. And that's the kind of wage bill, that's the kind of amounts of money that we have had to spend that is unnecessary. And that's why I support the president when we say we can comfortably cut the budget of this country by 300 billion. We can comfortably do that. Because a lot of the projects that have been done in the past regimes have had exorbitant costs to it, costs that are necessary, costs that are being put not because the engineer said that is actually the right cost, but because somebody said we want to make money on this and therefore add the cost. And therefore, I want to tell Kenyans that this parliament, and I want to tell parliament, this parliament must stand. Even those of us who are in government, those who call ourselves in government, those in Kenya Kwanza, we must stand to hold this government accountable for every cent that we give it, so that Kenyans can have value for money, for the money that they have given us to budget for. Madam Speaker, one of the things that I would like to speak about, and which the President touched on, is about having confidence in our institutions, our independent institutions, IEBC, the judiciary. Immediately after the court ruling, people started lambasting the judiciary just because they lost a case, and you want to make the whole world know that we have the worst judiciary in this country. What about those international businessmen who are looking at coming into this country because they have confidence in the judiciary in this country? Time has come when you lose a case, dust your coat and go home and say, I have lost fairly, and you go, instead of lambasting the judiciary. And the judiciary now has had a bad name just because one person lost a petition. The IEBC has been vilified just because somebody lost an election. Fellow members of parliament, I would like us to build confidence in our institutions. That's the only way to take the democracy of this country forward. And it is one of the things that the president noted. But more important, Madam Speaker, I would like to say that this country needs to come together. This country needs to come together. This election has pulled the ends of this country. But it is time that we brought this country together, and this parliament, this 13th parliament, could be the organ that will bring this country together. And it is one of the things that the president talked about. Fellow members, it is time that we preached peace, we preached cohesion, we preached togetherness, we preached unity. We brought this country together again so that the divide or the chaos that has been brought about because of an election, we end it, bring this country together, we start working together as a nation, and we build a country that is cohesive. That is the only way we can take this country together. But as I congratulate you, Madam Speaker, and Speaker Wetangula, I also want to thank Kenya Kwanza Brigade and also to thank the President for giving, for the first time, an opportunity to have a Speaker of the Senate that is from the coast. And this is something that I would like to say is commendable, and the people of the coast know that for the first time, this government has taken care of their interests. But as we move forward, there are things that must be taken care of. The issue of water, especially in Kilifi and in Ganze constituency, I would like the President to keep his promise that he will build dams there, big dams, to ensure that the people of Kilifi do not die again of hunger. I would also like to say that the question of landlessness or squatters at the coast needs to be brought to an end in this government. Madam Speaker, as I wind up my speech, I would like to ask fellow members of parliament as we move together in the 13th Parliament, let's move on a bipartisan agenda, on a bipartisan approach, so that we can heal this country, and this country moves forward, and God bless Kenya. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, member for Naivasha. And I think you'll be followed by a member for Wajir, so that he doesn't come up here. And then a member for Kericho, and so on. Most of you will actually have a chance. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this chance. On the onset, I'll make it short because my kid brothers here tell me that their constituents are looking. They are on the television wanting to see them speak, so I'll make it very short. Madam Speaker, first and foremost is to congratulate you on nomination and election as the Deputy Speaker. Together with the Speaker, I know you are equal to the task. Madam Speaker, we have gone a long way. We have done a lot of work for our party, for our president. In fact, from the season of Inua Mama, and we have come a long way. But also, I would plead with our president to give positions to our fallen soldiers, the ladies who went around this country campaigning for this government. Madam Speaker, I wish to congratulate all the members who found themselves in this house from wherever, whichever route they used to come to this place. We know it was rigorous, it was difficult, so it is upon us to honor our people by working for them. I also want to applaud Kenyans for the way they conducted themselves during the elections. This is the most peaceful election that has happened in this country in a long time. So we all owe it to our Kenyans to applaud them as leaders because of what we did. Madam Speaker, the President spoke about many things, how he's prepared. What we know is that what he said is what he means, and this is what he wants to do for this country. This is what he went round promising Kenyans. We know he is a sober president, a hands-on, and very hardworking. So we know this is going to happen. I also wish to thank him for giving us a cabinet minister in Nakuru, which has not happened since independence. The first parliament had Mark Mwidaga as an assistant minister. We have had the Meroge Karaokes, the Koigi Wamweres, Gitahi Garoro, Rike Nyanjui, and myself. We have all been assistant ministers. For once, we have a minister in the name of Zach Jero, and we really thank him. On CDF, Madam Speaker, I was in the pioneer committee when this law was passed. It was brought by Engineer Muriuki Karoe. I've been a wife of an MP who didn't have CDF, which also made me even hate politics, because I could see my husband sell a cow and say, give the money, donate the money to go, the whole lot, to go and build classes or for development. So this is the best thing that ever happened to this country. And it is all upon all of us to support so that CDF is aligned to the Constitution, because the many children we have taken to school. As we talk now, all the kids have been sent home. Many, many are home. They are coming to our houses, and you know, we just came from campaign, we cannot even have anything to give them. So this is one thing that we really must support. He talked about CBC in education. CBC, yes, that task force is very important, Madam Speaker, because I've gone to schools where you find actually mothers have come to school and they are knitting for their children. So you wonder, whose work is this? What the teacher is going to mark whose work? So really, it was important that this task force, because we say we don't want to scrap, but we want to get the best. About the hunger in this country, many people have said it should be declared a national disaster. Madam Speaker, there are families that are sleeping without food. This is something that as we wait for agriculture and fertilizer and everything to be lowered, let's address the hunger that is there. He talked about universal health care. I wish to thank the President for the nomination of women in the cabinet. This is the biggest we have had in this country. He promised 50%. Yes, it didn't happen, but at least we have gotten, I think we have gotten the biggest chunk in his government. I wish to congratulate the women, single constituency women, because this is the greatest also achievement. Madam Speaker, in the 8th Parliament, we had 8 women, which means there were only 2 elected at constituency because the others were nominated. In 9th Parliament, we were 18, which means it's only 12 that were elected. This time round, we are 29, and last Parliament, we were 23. So actually, we are catching up. You may find these gentlemen looking for the 1/3 if we go at this pace. Women, let us work hard so that we give Kenyans confidence that we can do it much better than our male colleagues. I support the President's speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Wajir North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Every speaker who had been given the floor had congratulated you and the Speaker. I know you have been inundated with so much congratulations, and I would wish to join them for being the Deputy Speaker and the Speaker himself, and that was a position well deserved. Secondly, Madam Speaker, the people of Wajir North are worth being celebrated. They elected me to Parliament in the 11th Parliament, sent me for a leave in the 12th Parliament, and felt wise that I should be back to represent them in the 13th Parliament. So due to that, I say I'm grateful to them and shall remain indebted. Madam Speaker, fast forward to the presidential speech. I'm proud to have elected His Excellency the President. I come from an area that is majorly painted orange or red, and it wasn't easy to come with a win using a UDA ticket, facing 7 Azimio candidates against 1 Kenya Kwanza. It wasn't an easy battle. Luckily, I came out triumphant. Madam Speaker, the President's address was apt to the various issues facing the country. Of concern to me were issues of constitutionalism. His Excellency the President had sworn in 6 judges who had gone through the due process in their recruitment, as was done by the Judiciary Service Commission, and the only role left for the then President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, was to swear the 6 judges. That wasn't done, and I'm happy my President, the newly elected President of Kenya, the 5th, had fidelity for the law and sworn the 6 judges accordingly. I'm also happy that in his address, he has affirmed that the judiciary farmed shall be operationalized. That's a great move towards constitutionalism. He also emphasized the fact that the judiciary shall be cascading to the constituency level, taking justice to the people up to the constituency so that they can handle much needed justice by the locals in the grassroots communities, more so commercial and corruption cases. I was a bit taken aback when a former speaker had raised that the president did not address corruption issues. Actually, he made a bold undertaking that he will devolve the judiciary to the Constitution to make sure that cases regarding commercial and corruption cases are expedited accordingly. That came the first time in the history of the Republic. Madam Speaker, this president has brought hope to the rule of law by ensuring that the IG, the Inspector General, being the accounting officer as espoused in the Constitution, is fully implemented. That was a bold move that we expected him to do, and he did it in the first few days after taking office. One other issue the president addressed himself to is he implored the House to review the standing orders so that we can have the executive on the floor of this House and we can interrogate them on matters of policy and what they are doing toward service delivery. That is welcome, Madam Speaker. However, we should be a bit cautious on matters of separation of powers. Separation of powers is a thin thing and it is well needed. We must not confuse different arms of government. However, it is important that the previous position of this House is restored as it was when the question time was the most interesting times of debate in this Parliament. Further, Madam Speaker, the President talked on agriculture. He emphasized that it is important to handle matters of production than the soft approaches to levies and subsidies. I appreciate his move, and I feel that is the right way to go. He's talking of agriculture from an expert-oriented position. Madam Speaker, on matters business environment, Kenya is the first, if not the second, I guess, in Africa and in the world, the most unequal country. The GDP is in the hands of 8,300 people only, according to the latest statistics from Oxfam. 8,300 control, or rather own, 99% of the GDP of this country. The President has emphasized and promised that he will improve on the business environment to make sure that the inequality gap is reduced accordingly. Madam Speaker, further, he talked of issues of public-private partnership in regard to access to water, to increase access to water from 60% to 80%. That is a welcome move. Water is a basic thing in life we all need, more so in the rural communities and ourselves. Inasmuch as I appreciate his approach, emphasis, or rather consideration, is given to public or foreign investments that have the muscle, the bigger muscle. And what happened ordinarily is capital flight. Capital flight. I would urge the President to consider small-scale investors so that they can also go into the partnership and sell their water, deliver water, and get money. Otherwise, the approach in regard to public-private partnership is welcome. And that brings me to the Butte Megaban, which is a presidential flagship project he has been following for the last 10 years. I hope he will consider the Butte Megaban in Wajir North as part of the public-private partnership he promised. On universal health care, Madam Speaker, NHIF as it stands now carries the name insurance, but really does it operate like an insurance? It comes under the regulation and the supervision of Insurance Regulatory Authority as it is in our statutes. But every year it requests for a waiver so that it is not supervised like the private insurance companies. That is to tell you that it's always hiding behind the name insurance. It doesn't collect premiums. I actually appreciate the approach the president has taken to overhaul NHIF and rebrand it to make sure that it is a universal health caregiver. And finally, I can see the lights are on, madam. The president emphasized on drought. Drought is ravaging Wajir North and other parts of Asals. I think we need to reconsider and relook our strategy to drought. We must bring on preparedness so that we can mitigate droughts before they are with us always. Otherwise, I appreciate and support the presidential speech. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Member for Wajir North. I actually took you seriously when you said that you wanted the time limited to 5 minutes. Obviously, it did not apply to you, maybe to the other members. I now call upon the member for Kericho, Member 001 of the 13th Parliament. Kindly help her with the mic.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And first, I really want to thank God for enabling all of us to be here, and more importantly, for the elections that were peaceful, and that is why we are here today. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate you in a very special way for you being given that position of Deputy Speaker. Receive greetings from people of Kericho, and in particular, the many women who told me when you go to Parliament, say hi to Madam Sholei, and they also gave me another responsibility. With this fact in mind, Madam Speaker, during the 11th Parliament, when there was some fracas at the late, may her soul rest in peace, the late Laposo, she had water poured on her. So this time they told me before anything happens to Madam Speaker, be there for her. So I will always make sure that I'm on flat shoes in case there is anything, so that we come to your defense, Madam Speaker. So, and secondly, I want to congratulate the Speaker, Honorable Wetangula, who is a seasoned politician. He deserves this position, having rose through the ranks, being in Parliament for all these years. So once more, congratulations to him. I want to thank the people of Kericho County who gave me the opportunity to come to Parliament. This is a dream that I had from so many years. I just remember when I was in class 6, we had a debate between class 6 and 7, and I was in class 6, and it was very simple. It was a motion of a teacher is better than a donkey driver. So that one, to me now, was on the side of the donkey driver. I didn't know what to say, but somehow the class 6 asked me to speak on their behalf, and by the end of the day, we got so many points. From there, I realized that I can be there at least to debate. So in particular, I want to thank the people of Kericho, just from what you've said, Madam Speaker. And being 001 in 13 Parliament is not a mean achievement. Though I'm not a ranking member, you will realize that coming to Parliament unopposed, it is by the grace of God, the favor of God, and more so the trust and the faith that the many people of Kericho County had and have in me. I promise that I will work hard. I promise that I will do my duty diligently as per the oath that I took to do the oversight role, legislation, Madam Speaker, and all the roles that are assigned to me. And in particular, today is International Day for Girl Child. And I believe, and knowingly or unknowingly, the Speaker gave you the opportunity to lead this day. I want to pray that all the girls and all the children and all the women in this country enjoy this day, as I dedicate even my speech to the many girls outside there, those who are in schools, to the many women also who are working very hard to support their families, to bring food on the table. the many who are working in the tea plantations, those who are working in the coffee plantations, those who are working even in the quarries, the many mamambokas and the like. I want to pray that as we dedicate this day and remember the girl child, Madam Speaker, what I pray is that we don't just support them with material issues. They also need to be encouraged so that they do more innovation, being creative, and let them have space. And with that, I want to congratulate all the women who have been elected to this parliament, which is a plus, and even His Excellency the President appreciated the same. And in line with that also, the 2/3 gender rule, when it comes to the nomination of the CSS, I want to appreciate and the President and say that he did his part, and I believe this House will pass, will actually come to uphold all the nominees for the position of the CSS. In particular, I also want to congratulate Honorable Florence Pore, who is my predecessor. I am here because that, and I became the woman representative, and now she got another position. I congratulate her, and I believe this House will actually uphold her position. So once more, Madam Speaker, I want to say that the many issues that women are passing through, we cannot even explain here, the gender-based violence. And in particular, we also look at the cases of suicide that is happening around the country and in Kericho in particular. We have so many of these women who go through many processes and many difficult situations, and I believe with this government, we're going to have even a place, rehabilitation center, where their issues can be listened to and even counseling can be done. So I want to, in particular, say that as Beatrice Kemei, member for Kericho County, I am going to work very closely with all the arms of government and in particular the executive and even this legislative house, Madam Speaker, so that we see that the women have their space. Coming to the speech of the President, Madam Speaker, I want to say that for me, undoubtedly, it is the best speech. The President, for that matter, I want to tell this House that some of us was saying the speech of the President was very short. But in his wisdom, one thing that I like from the President is that he actually applied what we call the miniskirt rule. And the rule says, short enough to cover the subject and long enough to maintain the interest. At the end of the speech, members were very excited. I repeat, the miniskirt rule says, short enough to cover the subject and long enough to maintain the interest. So at the end of his speech, members were very excited. The interest was, but the subject was covered, and the interest was okay. So that is what I can say, and I appreciate that the speech of the President, because in particular he covered so many areas in his speech, the many pressing issues that affect Kenyans, and he actually gave us his roadmap towards implementation of the bottom-up economic model or approach. He highlighted the key steps in which the government intends to put full realization of his agenda. So, and as I said, he appreciated the women leadership. Secondly, he talked about agriculture, investing so much in agriculture, and in particular, reducing the cost of production. And this one is very important, so we will actually review the many legislation that will help us in issues to do with export and tax on agricultural products. Agriculture in Kericho County is key, not only in Kericho, but in Kenya. You will realize that, Madam Speaker, this is the main area that gives us economical improvement. I pray that we put more emphasis on the same, and we are not only concerned with the food security, we are also concerned with putting money in our pockets. So I appreciate that one. And in universal health care, I want to pray that, and I believe the President is concerned with being the health care being more effective, affordable, and efficient. I in particular appreciate, in his plan he talked of diapers for maternity, in the side of maternity, diapers for women, for children, for the 3 months. And for this house, I was like, I think I should go for one more, because to appreciate the government for giving us 3 months to have diapers, Madam Speaker. So I will come, we discuss. I think you should also join me. We appreciate the government in supporting 3 months diapers. That one, it will help so many of our women to have children. So our health is our wealth, and this one will be good for us. In the issue of housing, it is very, very important that we have the land, and not only land, let's also have other enablers, so that this housing can be, at least can actually help so many of our people. And I see the lights are on, Madam Speaker, but I want to also add one more point, that the Hustler Fund, Madam Speaker, our people are waiting for that. They already have groups. We would want to see it done in the right way. The many, maybe what I can say, the department and the ministry that will take care of the Hustler Fund will have to do it so well, and so that people will not miss on the same. Hustlers are waiting for it, and they are ready to be helped. This one will cover at least everybody else. It will help the Mamambokas, it will help all the Okas, and everybody that is concerned with this.
Member for Kwale County, and you'll be followed by member for Webuye. Seems the member for Kwale County is not here. We can have member for Webuye. Webuye West. Yeah. Yes, I know Honorable Investor Martin Wanyonyi. That's what the name says. Is that correct?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for also giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, I'm honored to speak for the first time on the floor of this House on the behalf of the great people of Webuye East. Madam Speaker, first I also want to congratulate you, Madam Speaker, for your election as our Deputy Speaker. I also want to congratulate our Speaker, Honorable Moses Masika Wetangula, for his election as our Speaker of the 13th Parliament. Madam Speaker, I want to also congratulate my great people of Webuye East for the trust and the confidence they bestowed upon me as their third member of Parliament. Madam Speaker, I was born from a very, very humble but hard-working family. A family that, Madam Speaker, trusted in my capability of also being somebody, and also my possibility of pursuing my God-given dream. Madam Speaker, when I was born, I realized that I was blessed by two very important things. And one of those things, Madam Speaker, that I was blessed with is the fact that, Madam Speaker, I was born with this condition of albinism. Madam Speaker, when today you visit certain Mandera County or any other part of this country, and you ask any child about the composition of Parliament, of the 13th Parliament, that child will tell you we have 348 members of the National Assembly and one Mzungu in that assembly, which, Mr. Speaker, I'm so proud of. Madam Speaker, I'm also proud and happy that God blessed me and I was born in the Republic of Kenya, a country, Madam Speaker, whose citizens believe that, Madam Speaker, that their rights are not given by their government, but they are given by their God. And it's the duty of the government to protect those rights, Madam Speaker. And that's why the Kenyan citizen, they can choose what they want, and they can be able to elect the leaders they want, Madam Speaker. And that's why today, even with my status and condition, I was elected as a member of parliament. And that's why William Samoei Ruto, a chicken seller, was elected as the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya. Madam Speaker, even in the face of the system and the deep state and government opposition, he was elected. And I want to congratulate and also thank my speaker, because he led the team and the region that made the difference in who was elected as the president and who lost as president, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to thank him for that support and for the leadership he gave us. Madam Speaker, it's always said that to whom much is given, much is expected. I won in all the wards in my constituency. And Speaker, I know I'm inheriting a constituency that's still very young, that has been in existence for only 10 years under the 2010 Constitution. My people still are in need of infrastructure. The schools are still not doing well. There are many people who lost their families, who lost their, whose marriage broke up because of pen paper, because of the collapse of pen paper. Now, Speaker, I just want to promise them that my experience as an MCA, being nominated in 2013, elected in 2017, now elected as a member of parliament, which for me, Madam Speaker, is a true testimony that indeed what Kenya Kwanza stands for, the bottom up. I think I'm a true testimony of how bottom up can work. Being nominated, elected as an MCA, now a member of parliament, and I'm speaking, I'm so sure the sky is the limit. And we'll panga manina pambele, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I just want to assure my people that we are going to do whatever we can. We are going to go out of our way to ensure that we realize every plan and every strategy and every manifesto that we promise them. And Madam Speaker, I want to just ask them for their support, to work with me in this journey so that we can be able together to transform our constituency. Madam Speaker, on the President's speech, I just want from the onset to thank the President, because through that speech, he was able to demonstrate that he doesn't believe in the quantity of things, but he believes in quality, in precisiveness, in unequivocalness. That's why his speech was precise, he was simple, and to the point, Madam Speaker. And Speaker, I also want to thank the President, because the former President believed so much in big things, in initiating big projects. But, of course, the former President, Uhuru Kenyatta, he believed in initiating big projects. But I'm happy with the current President, the Kenya Kwanza and 5th President. Madam Speaker, I want to thank him, because for him, he believes in very simple, few things, but things that are so important to the Republic of Kenya and to its citizens. And that's why today you can see in his speech, in his inaugural speech, he talked about the universal health care. He talked about the transformation of our agriculture.
Honorable members who are at the bar, at the bench here, kindly, it's amounting to harassment now. I can hear the conversations, harsh words that you're exchanging with the clerks. Yes. We still have 3 hours. Everybody who's on the list actually will get a chance. Thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I don't know why, I don't know whether they are doing that because it's me speaking, Madam Speaker, but Madam Speaker, I just want to continue by saying that I thank the President for his speech, his belief in very few, simple, but important things to the people of Kenya. The transformation of agriculture, the achievement and the implementation of universal health care, the housing program, all that, Madam Speaker, all of them being conceived within Article 43 of our Constitution. Madam Speaker, Article 43 on economic and social rights it's so critical, Madam Speaker. It forms part of the centrality of our Constitution, Madam Speaker. But I think for 10 years, we've not done well in terms of actualizing this particular article of our Constitution. So, Madam Speaker, I want to just thank the President for his commitment to ensure that Article 10, or Article 43 of our Constitution is actually achieved and it's made alive and true to the citizens of the Republic of Kenya. And Speaker, I also want to thank him in his speech on the issue of having the cabinet secretaries appear before Parliament and answer questions directly. And Speaker, I know we have issues around that. There are members who have raised concerns. But Speaker, just want to say that, yes, we are a presidential system, we are having a presidential system, but any democracy, we have never had a democracy that's absolute. Now, Speaker, we need these cabinet secretaries to appear before us so that they can conclusively answer the questions of members of Parliament and speak to the people of Kenya directly. Madam Speaker, thank you for this opportunity.
Member for member for Kitutu Churches South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Madam Speaker, let me first start by congratulating you and our Speaker for the election to lead us in this National Assembly. I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate all the members elected in here and those that are nominated. I take this opportunity to congratulate my president and his deputy on their election. Mine is a unique story, a story of sheer resilience, determination, and relentlessness. My story should inspire young people of this country, young people of this great country, that just like Eliud Kipchoge says, no human is limited. We should never give up. I started while in campus in 2007, ran in 2013. In 2017, I came close, and without losing enthusiasm, in 2022, I got elected overwhelmingly by the people of Kitutu Churches South. I take this opportunity to thank the wonderful people of Kitutu Churches South for electing me to serve them. Of course, I thank Team Kibagendi, the people who are running this campaign, and hope we get to continue working together. The President gave a short and inspiring speech. I particularly appreciate the focus that he wants to work towards lowering the cost of living, and of course, aligning national government CDF with the Constitution, since this fund has been life-changing, especially on matters to do with education and security in the countryside. Even on matters to do with CRB, I've been a victim of being denied a loan because of a small default I had with a mobile loan, and that really injured my standing in society. Madam Speaker, I would also like to bring to your attention that While the president spoke very well about matters to do with food security and focus on agriculture, and the various other things like focus on universal health care, I would like to bring to the attention of this House that Kitutu Chache South is the only constituency in the larger Gusii region that has no inch of tarmac other than the highway going to Kisumu. So we are hoping we will also be considered this time. Madam Speaker, I wish to also appreciate the former Member of Parliament, Honorable Richard Onyonka, and the constituency fund manager, Mr. Kimtai, for the wonderful job they did. We have we have wonderful projects that have been done by the CDF. I wish the honorable member for Garissa Town stayed on longer. He's an excellent debater, and I wish he was here with us. He would turn down the opportunity to serve as a CS and be here with us in the House so that he can help us in checking the executive, because he does a very good job. And even today, he really pushed our party chairman that he needs to buy a TV and watch how President Ruto will do his work. I served as an advisor to our president while he was deputy president, and I have no doubt that he will do a wonderful job with the opportunity that has been given to him. Madam Speaker, I hope that the opposition this time round will be objective and focus on its role, not like what we witnessed in the past 5 years, where we didn't seem to have a proper opposition that was checking the excesses of the executive. And I also hope the executive will focus on its mandate and not open aggressive politics like we saw in the past, and failing to honor especially court orders. Finally, I hope the president and his cabinet will instill discipline, especially in the civil service. I thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity, and again thank the people of Kitutu Chache South for giving me the opportunity to serve them. Thank you.
Member for Baringo County, and honorable members, nearly all of you are here, are all going to get an opportunity. So I think if we're just patient with the clerks, we will get to you, because we still have until 8. Thank you.
Thank you. To congratulate you and the right Honorable Speaker for the election that we did in the House. I also want to congratulate our President, His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, a man of his words, the President of Kenya, who is ready to serve, dedicated man of God too, and I am assuring all of you that I am going to give you the unconditional support going forward. Madam Speaker, I was privileged to be part of Kenya Kwanza as an elected member now. I also participated through the campaigns, and I must say, through the speech of the President, he was speaking rightly on what we have always been talking about during our campaigns. Especially, for me, what I captured most is the issue, apart from many other things, issue of social security. Madam Speaker, as you are aware that this country is so much indebted on the foreign debts. And what the President was actually saying was, we need as a country to come forward, help one another by saving, and use our savings through borrowings from our savings, so that we can enable ourselves as Kenyans through infrastructure, building schools, we can borrow from, from ourselves. And this way, they give us, if you go through his speech, he is clarifying that social security in Kenya, especially the NSSF, is so much undermined because of the mode of saving. And he's encouraging all of us to save more, especially the format that they are using now, that the people who are actually keenly saving are the one on the formal employment, meaning the civil service. We have many other Kenyans, young generation, people who have never gone to school, people who have not gone to school but never been employed in government, but they are working every day, they are hustling, and these are the people who are supposed to be encouraged to save and give an opportunity of growth in this country. He also talked about the innovations in this country through the technology of today. I am very much aware that all of us here, as members of parliament, are technically savvy. By one way or another, we are always exposed to electronics, and the president has encouraged through his speech that we be innovative enough and encourage the young generation to be part of innovations by marketing their products and doing as much as possible to market and help this country going forward through the technology, because technology is here with us forever. Because of time, Madam Speaker, I want to reiterate also that I was a bit disappointed by the speech of the president when he didn't mention the matters of insecurity. I come from Baringo, and as a daughter of Baringo, I have witnessed and I've gone through a lot of problems on these issues of insecurity. Insecurity in the Kerio Valley Belt is mainly associated with the cattle rustling and banditry that has destroyed families, wealth. People are becoming so poor because this is a matter that has been there from ages but has never been tackled and eradicated fully. And I want to say, I expected the president to be so keen and give us a direction, because his speech was on state of the nation. As I speak to you, Madam Speaker, as I give my speech today, I want to tell this august house that banditry has really and has been one of the menace that has claimed, especially apart from the people of Kenya, the police and the men in uniform. People who have been, we have given them opportunity to take care of our lives and our property. That in the last 2 weeks, when it was actually a week after the president, before the president gave this speech, we lost several policemen and women and people through a raid that occurred in Lokori, in Turkana. And I would read the names of the policemen. Unfortunately, their names were not even mentioned when all this matter and the president was in the house. If you think cattle rustling is happening only in Baringo, it is affecting everyone in Kenya. We have William Karimi, Alex Wambua, John Kisoi, Boniface Mutiso, Edwin Omari, Eric Rugut, Brian Macharia, Agustin Ndiema, and we also lost our dear sister, Mary Kanyaman, who is a biochemist, one of the learned daughter of the soil of Turkana. We also have others who are injured, like Rafael Gituro and Peter Nganga. Madam Speaker, this is something that we cannot wish away. And I want to pray, going forward, as a member of parliament, I am going to do and bring forward laws and bills that is going to support us eradicate this matter. Why am I so much affected with this thing? Because I come from Baringo, where it is adversely affected. And I come from Baringo also, where banditry is manufactured in one of the constituencies called Tiati. I am speaking because as a member of Baringo county, I have the prerogative and I have the authority to mention it here in the floor so that we are able to solve this problem right from the source. As I speak to you, Madam Speaker, killings, displacement of people, innocent children. Like I just came from Baringo there, on Saturday, burying one gallant soldier serving as a GSU in Barwesa ward. And one thing, Madam Speaker, is it's not about the burying and because of the bandits' killings. It is what we leave behind. I watch when we were burying this son of Kuikui in Barwesa, his children, the wife who is barely 20-something years, and the son who was there watching keenly with a lot of somber mood when his father was being buried. He didn't move. All of us were there. Everyone was, even when they were shooting they were doing the saluting of the gun. This young boy was just there staring on his father's coffin. It's not about the bandits. It's about the people we leave behind. We lack the psychosocial support. The families that are left very poor, very dejected. They don't know where else to go, especially those who are displaced. They don't know what to do next. And at the end of the day, looks like it is business as usual in this government and in this Kenya, that people are being killed and no one discusses afterwards. We just go and bury them. I want to hide this floor, this parliament, with the help of all of the members here. Kindly, let us work so hard to enable other Kenyans, especially in Baringo and Kerio Valley belt, to have the same peace like any other person in this country. I finish, Madam Speaker, by saying, this is our world, and this is Kenya today. I am not speaking on behalf of the people of Baringo alone, but a generation that I speak for them today and the future. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Member for Baringo. Member for Kisumu Central. Central is not here. Member for Starehe constituency. Member for Mathare.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And from the very onset, allow me to join fellow members who have congratulated you on your election as Speaker. I have no doubt that yourself and the Speaker, both distinguished lawyers and jurists, will be able to take this House to a height further than where you found it. I want to state from the very onset that I am a student of Madam Speaker, a lawyer by profession, and if I have turned out to be a poor lawyer or a good lawyer, she would be responsible for it, but I'm sure that it is the latter. In my final year of school, I was among the top 10 students whom she took to Washington, D.C., to the Philip C. Jessup International Moot Court Competition, and I am happy that we did a good job under her leadership and her stewardship. I have been in the 12th Parliament, and I have seen Madam Speaker, the zeal and the industry she puts in the committee she was in, especially the Committee on Delegated Legislation, and I am sure that if she translates this to the House, we are so much the better. So I congratulate you, Madam Speaker, as I also congratulate the Speaker. This is my second term, but it is the third attempt at being a member of Parliament, and way back in 2013, when I was still trying to cut my political teeth in the same constituency, the Honorable Speaker Moses Wetangula was gracious enough to call me and gave me my first direct ticket as a member of Ford Kenya Party. I returned it with 8,000 votes, and I am eternally grateful for that opportunity. I want to also thank the people of Mathare constituency for electing me for a second time to represent them in a very diverse constituency, one that is actually the face of Kenya. You come to Mathare constituency, you will find every conceivable tribe in there. And if you think that you would be elected in Mathare by your tribal majority or numeracy, you would be shocked, because if I were to benchmark it against my tribe, I am actually number 3 in terms of numerical numbers, and I don't take it for granted. Secondly, there is a slang word where they say in Mathare that hapa unaosha unanawa mara moja. And so if you were to translate it, it simply means that you wash your hands once, and literally every member of parliament before me has served only one term and exited. So I want to thank them. I will take my work seriously and diligently. We laid the foundation in the first term, and I will do everything possible to ensure that the trust and confidence that you have bestowed on me as the people of Mathare shall not be disappointed. Lastly, on that issue, before I go to the speech, I want to thank my family for constantly and steadfastly standing behind me throughout this campaign and the previous ones. I thank them. I want to go now to the speech of the president, and I wanted to paraphrase the SCAT principle that was alluded to by the member for Kericho. My law professor, another professor, not the current speaker, used to say, and I paraphrase what he used to say, that a lady's cat, a good answer to a question, when he used to tell us, how do you answer a question when you're faced with an exam paper, and he used to say, a good answer to a question is like a lady's skirt. It is short enough to excite and long enough to cover the substance. Well, the jury is still out as to whether the speech of the president excited the base enough, and I mean here the base based on the election promises that were made under the Kenya Kwanza plan. And the jury is still out, in my view, as to whether it was long enough to cover the substance. And listening to a number of members, quite some ground was covered, but there are other issues also that were not quite well covered. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I wanted to speak to the question of the tone. The tone of the speech, in my view, was moderate, and this was an opportunity for the president to try and bring together the more than 6.9 million Kenyans who still felt aggrieved for one reason or the other, or who didn't vote for him. However, to my disappointment, looking at paragraph 11, and if I was to quickly grin through what the president was saying, it amounted to a trolling of his chief opponent, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, and he was saying in this paragraph that only in Kenya do you find that a sitting deputy president becomes the candidate of the opposition, and the opposition leader becomes the candidate of the government, and that the candidate of the opposition became the president. And I thought this was an opportunity not to try to rub salt on the 6.9 million people who at his inauguration he clearly stated, I will be president for you, whether you voted for me or you didn't vote for me. And I thought this was an opportunity then to try and rally everybody together, both the 7 million who voted and those who didn't vote. And I should hope that going forward, the presidential speeches, including the ones that I witnessed at the burial of the brother to the deputy president, where some of our members still seem to be in election mode, trying to pull back the former president into this and trying to rub salt in a manner that suggests that while the people who have lost have moved on and are trying to heal, those who are the victors apparently seem to find pleasure in trying to bring those people back and to rub the salt. And I think that is something that going forward I hope the president will be able to correct. Madam Speaker, the first point that I noted, which I want to speak to, is on the question of oversight. The president has indicated, I think in his paragraph 16 of that speech, that he will try to ensure that the institutions work and that Parliament provides oversight, and also that members of cabinet are here to answer questions as part of enhancing that oversight. Madam Speaker, I'd like to go back to his paragraph 11, and paraphrase it here and say that only in Kenya do we have a sitting deputy elected as president and opposition leader being the candidate of the government, and that opposition candidate being elected president. But it is also true that it is only in Kenya where an elected president in his first 30 days makes it his business to implement one of the main campaign platforms and policies of the opposition leader. And I want to thank him for this, because when he says that he wants to bring in cabinet minister to parliament, isn't this the BBI that was shot down by the current president and their team? This is an attempt at implementing piecemeal some of what we proposed in the BBI. Madam Speaker, I also want to speak to the question of the independence of the judiciary. I was in the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee as well as the Committee of Implementation of the Constitution the last time, and I support the President in terms of the Judiciary Fund, which he has promised that would be put in place. I also want to thank him that within the first few days, he swore in the judges who had not been sworn in. Those are good gestures, but I want to pose this question as to whether behind those good gestures there is an attempt to do what you call capture of the judiciary in the same manner that we complain about executive capture. Both are wrong. If the judiciary goes to bed with the executive, the judiciary, and these I would quote from Alexander Hamilton, who once said, I think in his treatise of 1889, that while the executive holds the sword and dispenses honors, and the parliament holds the purse strings, the judiciary dispenses justice. That is the last vanguard, the last place where members of the public would go if they were offended, and it would be a big disservice to the people of Kenya if the judiciary, in the attempt to give back at what the executive has extended to them, went to bed with the judiciary. Madam Speaker, I see that my time has run shorter than the 10 minutes that allowed.
Your time is up, Wakili. The Honorable Richard Yegon, Bomet East.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. As this being my maiden speech, first of all, Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for granting me this opportunity to make my maiden speech. As the United Democratic Alliance Party Member of Parliament for Bomet East constituency. I wish to take this earliest opportunity, like my colleagues who have spoken already, to congratulate you for being elected the Speaker of this National Assembly, and also the Deputy Speaker, Gladys Poshole. And the same goes to my colleagues who have made it to this parliament, the 13th parliament. For me, it has been a long and winding journey to be here, having twice attempted to secure the party ticket for the final run in vain. Mr. Speaker, in this year's UDA party primaries and the subsequent general election, God and the voters were on my side. In what I take as a payback for consistency and persistence to over leadership in this great constituency, to my immediate and extended family members and friends who stood by me through a very difficult time. My campaign team that went extra mile to deliver the win. I'm forever indebted to you. Many thanks and respect goes to the voters, the youths, and the elderly who woke up at dawn, braved the chill, the scorching sun, and long queues to cast their votes, waiting for hours on end as the votes were counted, tallied by the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, clerks, and finally announced by the returning officer as they believe in my cause and ensure we won. I would not let you down. To those who opposed my candidature and my competitors, former area MPs, the KANU Secretary General, Mr. Nick Salat, Dr. John Kalia of CCM, Chama cha Mashinani Party, you are worthy competitors. We all engage in issue-based politics, devoid of tricks and character assassination, and true to all tenets of multi-party democracy. The best candidate won. I wish to reiterate that it is time for us as the people to tweak the coin in the way we operate, in identification and implementation of development projects to the benefits of the residents. I'm looking forward to working with the national and the county governments, all stakeholders, donors, and residents in finding a lasting solution to the socio-economic challenges facing the constituency. There are little footprints of President Uhuru Kenyatta's Jubilee administration, development records in Bomet East constituency, as it can only be remembered for the stalled upgrade to bitumen standard of the 75-kilometer Tenwek Merigi Tegat Chamaner Kimuchul Mateja and Chamaner Kembu Longisa Kibreres Kabaruso Kembu Kaibeot Mulot roads. Hardly 1 kilometer was constructed before the funding of the project was withdrawn a year ago for what is believed to have been a move by the then powers to punish the residents of their political affiliations. I'm confident that the Kenya Kwanza government, with the able leadership of President William Ruto, will prioritize the completion of the projects which was starved of funds along the Longisa Kibreres Sigor Road, whose tender were awarded, but construction is yet to take off. Even before being elected, I was a matter on record able to channel my own resources towards improving the 17-kilometer Tegat Jamaner Kembu Road in response to the numerous appeals from the residents in what was only a stopgap measure. I'm a firm believer in the saying by Booker Washington that the ear of a leader must ring with the voice of the people. Residents of the region are in the long term looking forward to the upgrade of a number of roads to bitumen standard, including Kapkeshego Pugacha, Kiramwok, Sabaret, Kibiosi Tegat Road. The Mulot Mengit Toronik Breres, the youth farmers, Jeboin Merigi, youth farmers, Kongotik Chep Kitwal, and also Legimbo, Jeboin, Chep Kolon, and Jerian roads, are on which we should prioritize. Despite the fact that water is the key enabler in the phases of development, Bomet, which is highly agriculturally endowed, has eventually been faced with acute shortage of precious commodity. Water shortage, both for domestic use and irrigation, affects all the 5 wards, Kembu, Merigi, Chamaner, Longisa, and Kibreres in the constituency. I wish to thank the African Development Bank to funding the ongoing extension of the water pipeline pipelines to Longisa Mulot operating centers in a bid to ease the acute shortage of the precious commodity. As a long-term solution, I'm appealing to the national government under the Kenya Kwanza coalition to fast-track the implementation of Kibusto water project in Jemaner Ward. The project identified in the early 1980s as the potential of supplying the water by gravity to a larger part of Bomet East constituency and highly cost-effective. It's highly cost-effective. To spur economic growth and to improve the people's livelihood, I will be engaging the national connect electricity to households that have been there. They are structured wired under the last mile connectivity to power is yet to switch on, even as we push for new lines to be rolled out. I'm glad that in response to the concerns raised by the people, the president has set up a task force to review the competency-based curriculum, that is CBC education system, which will identify schools to be made centers of excellence and in the consistency, so we can rally donors towards the construction of and equipping them to accommodate bright but needy students. With agriculture being the driving engine of Kenyan economy, it is noteworthy that the growing tea by small-scale farmers and dairy farming are the main source of livelihood for the resident following the collapse of the maize sector due to the maize lethal cirrhosis disease that was for more than 15 years the negative impact on food security in the region. But the uptake of the avocados farming as a subsistence and commercial scale has steadily risen in the last 4 years, and we will work with the stakeholders to construct a backhouse for farmers to sell the produce and export or fetch higher prices. The recent government to move to set up the Information Technology ICT Center in Mulot area specifically as a software development hub in the country is highly appreciated and welcome move that will go a long way in demonstrating that there is a huge potential for the rural areas to drive Kenya's industrial growth. Those of us, men and women, who are now in the House are looking up to you and the House leadership to guide, for guidance as we learn the ropes of legislation which the voters have sent us to have and do.
Thank you, Honorable Member. And Honorable Members, I know we cannot vote on the reduction of time, but with consensus, I see we have about 83 requests. Today is the last allotted day. And if you agree, we can have 5 minutes per member, so that we can have as many of you as we possibly can to make your speeches on this presidential address. Is that agreeable? Yes. Excellent. And if you make your point in under 5 minutes, you'll even be more appreciated. Joseph Kahangara. 5 minutes. If you can make it in less, excellent.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I'll try to make it as short as possible to enable other members to make their contribution. Mr. Speaker, this being my first time to speak in the 13th Parliament, I will take this opportunity first to thank the Almighty God for giving me favor among the people of Lari, and they found me fit to represent them in the 13th Parliament for the second time. I want to thank the people of Kenale, Nyandoma, Kamboro wards, Kijabi, and Lari Kerenga, who voted for me overwhelmingly
on the 9th of August to be the Member of Parliament. I also want to thank my family, led by my wife, the entire team that worked tirelessly to ensure that I was elected. I'll remain forever indebted to them for the work that they did for me. Mr. Speaker, as I talk to the people of Lari, let me also take this opportunity to condemn acts of arson that are taking place in our area. We have had 2 schools burnt in as many weeks. We want to urge the teachers and the administration to work together to ensure that our schools remain safe. A lot of effort and resources have been put together by parents to put up the schools, and when they go up in smoke, it is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker. As I go to the presidential address, let me say that we saw our UDA Kenya Kwanza candidate, His Excellency the President, going around this country into every corner, every county, collecting views from Kenyans, asking them what they would expect him to do when he gets into government. And Mr. Speaker, our candidate came up with what we call the plan, and the plan is not what is now what he came up with when he came and gave his speech here on what he's going to do for Kenyans. Let me just pick out a few issues that affect my people in Lari, and one of them is that I come from a rural constituency where over 90% of my people depend on agriculture. His Excellency the President talked about value addition, and in our area, whenever we produce in excess, we find that most of our products go to waste because the market is saturated. And when the President now talked about value addition, it means that we can be able to keep our products longer, we can be able to export the same, and we can be able to earn more money and create employment for our people. The other main challenge that we face in that area towards agriculture is that sometimes we are unable to get our products into the market because of poor infrastructure. It is my hope that the ongoing projects, and especially the Mau roads, the current government will be able to take up and ensure that these projects are completed, bring up more projects so that our people will be able to get their produce to the market. Mr. Speaker, on the same, the President talked about the reduction of the price of fertilizer from 6,500 to 3,500. We have already seen that some of this product has been taken to the people, but may I say at this juncture that the people of Kiambu, we only have some store in Thika where we have the National Produce Board storage, and people from Lari will not be able to go there. We are asking the county government to ensure that they devolve the same so that the product can be taken to every sub-county. Among other things, the President was able to speak on the issue of CDF. As another member said, we are having people now coming to us asking for bursary, which is we do not have. And of course, the President said that he has been able to serve one as a member when there was CDF, as a member when there was no CDF, and he knows what it means. We are happy that now we have goodwill from the executive. Let's get CDF back so that it can be able to serve our people better. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Women Rep Mombasa.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Kwa majina ni Zamzam Chimba Muhammad, na ningependa kuchukua fursa hii kuweza kuwashukuru wakazi wa Mombasa walionipa kura zao kwa heshima na taadhima. Niweze kuwapongeza sana, na niweze kumpongeza pia kinara wangu wa chama, kiongozi wangu Bwana Raila Amolo Odinga, kwa kuweza kuamini wanawake na kutupa nafasi mwafaka, na pia mwisho tulikuwa hatujui tushike wapi, akaweza kutusaidia tukafunga kazi na kupata ushindi. Ningependa pia kumshukuru familia yangu yote walionishika na kuniombea dua. Mpaka sasa niko hapa na niweze kuambia wakazi wa Mombasa kuwa nitawafanyia kazi, nitahakikisha mtoto wa kike anapewa heshima katika jamii, nitahakikisha mtoto wa kike anapata nafasi ya pili ya kuweza kupata elimu na kuweza kuondoa tamaduni ambazo ni potofu. Katika usemi wa rais aliotangulia kusema, ningependa kwanza kupongeza sana kwa kuturegeshea poti yetu ya Mombasa, lakini pia nina wasiwasi kwa kuwa tetesi zimetoka nyingi kuwa ile port title deeds yetu. Mimi ningependa kumwambia mtukufu rais kuwa kwa hisani yako, kwa heshima na taadhima, uweze kufuatilia kuwa wakazi wa Mombasa tusiwe sisi ni wa kutolewa kafara poti yetu iweze kwenda. Hapana. Wakenya wote wachangie jambo hili, tuchangie pesa hizi tunazodaiwa na Mchina ziweze kulipwa na Wakenya wote. Ningependa pia kumwambia rais kuwa our natural resources, rasilimali zetu kama wakazi wa pwani, kama vile korosho, kama vile madini na mambo mengi, ningependa kuweza kumshawishi na kumwelezea kuwa aturahisishie Dongo Kundu iweze kufunguliwa mapema, tuweze kupata ajira na kuweza kufungua viwanda ambavyo vitaleta ajira kwa vijana wetu wa Mombasa. Wengi wamepotea katika mihadarati, wengine wanachukuliwa na ushawishi mkubwa kwenye mambo ya Al-Shabaab kwa sababu ya ukosefu wa ajira. Kwa hiyo namuomba rais pia aweze kuangalia kutufungulia viwanda. Kenya Meat Commission ilikufa na kuna sehemu zingine tuona zafanya kazi, lakini Mombasa haijafufuliwa. Tuangalie kiwanda cha korosho, tuangalie viwanda vya miwa, tuangalie viwanda vya Kenya Biksa, vyote vifunguliwe ili wakaazi wa Mombasa na pwani nzima waweze kupata ajira na kuuza rasilimali zao. Nikirudi kuzungumza mambo ya afya, sote tunaelewa kuwa NHIF ililetwa ili kuboresha na kufanya wepesi wa watu kupata huduma ya afya, lakini wengi wakienda kwenye mahospitali wanaambiwa kuwa ni pesa ya kitanda, hakuna dawa, hakuna huduma zingine ambazo wanafanyiwa. Wazee wengi wamelalamika sana. Kwa hiyo angalie hali katika NHIF tuweze kupata huduma ambayo weza kupata kutibu maradhi mengi mazito. Kisha nikiangalia mgao wetu wa ngafu, kama kina mama wa kaunti 47, mgao wetu uko chini sana kulinganisha na kuwa sisi tufanya siasa kaunti nzima ama gatuzi zima, tunapata mgao mdogo sana, na ndio maana wengi unapata hawarudi bungeni. Kwa hiyo ningependa kumuomba rais aweze kuangalia kila atakapoangalia kwenye CDF na yale mengine ya kaunti, na sisi wanawake katika ngafu atuangalie hali zetu tuweze kupata mgao ambao utaweza kutusaidia. Nikirudi upande wa migration, watoto wetu wa pwani na hasa Waislamu wanahangaishwa sana kila pembe. Kupata kitambulisho cha Kenya imekuwa ni donda sugu. Imekuwa naulizwa paka birth certificate ya vilembwa na vilembwekeza, wakati ambapo ni watoto ambao wamezaliwa Kenya, wamezaliwa katika hospitali zetu na wanajulikana. Ningeomba rais angalie hili kwa Waislamu ili tusiweze kupata matatizo katika kupata huduma kwenye pasipoti na ID. Ningependa pia
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Member for Kitutu Masaba.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and congratulations in your election to be the Speaker of this House. I would like to thank the members of Kitutu Masaba for having elected me to be their representative in this House in the 13th Parliament. Mr. Speaker, I will go straight to the President's speech. I will look into the matters that mainly touch on my people. Firstly, agriculture. Mr. Speaker, the President and the new administration did release fertilizers that are cheaper than the previous months. This, however, Mr. Speaker, does not favor all members or all citizens of this country, because not every farmer grows crops. Personally, Mr. Speaker, I'm a poultry keeper. The cost of feeds in this country is simply unaffordable. It is no longer cheap to keep any animal, and therefore we get very stiff competition from imported goods and products of animals. Mr. Speaker, would like to urge the new administration, while looking at agricultural inputs, also to consider animal feeds. Infrastructure. This country, Mr. Speaker, when we talk about infrastructure, we do realize that there's no balance. Mr. Speaker, infrastructure does not only relate to Nairobi and the surrounding environs. I come from a constituency where road coverage is at a dismal level. We urge that this new government ensures that there is balance, that all of us, all citizens, that the people of Kitutu Masaba can have their roads done and they feel to be part of this nation. For example, we do have 2 contracts in my constituency, the RWC 586, which is a road meant to cover Gekano, Nyangori, Rigoma, and Amabuko. Also, that contract covers Gekano, Girango, Moturumesi, and Manga Motemomwamo. Mr. Speaker, you'll be surprised to know that with 67% of the time covered for that contract, only 5% of the work has been done. Yet my people keep suffering, and nobody addresses this issue. We have another contract, RWC 485, Kemera, Kiendege, Kachuba, Keumbo. This contract, Mr. Speaker, is 37 months behind schedule. There is no contractor on site. There is no equipment on site. Yet, my people expect to feel to be part of this country. Mr. Speaker, on the President's speech, there was not very much touching on education. Education is the equalizer for all of us. I am a son of a watchman, and I am here today because of education. We need to put more effort on TVET colleges, put more resources in the TVET institutions and polytechnic, so that our youths have a place to learn handicraft and any other skill that can help them be of importance to this country. Mr. Speaker, as we have a country of hustlers led by the chief hustler himself, we need to get more skills for our youths so that they fit in this society. The Uwezo Fund and the Hustler Fund. This should be looked into a way that they are complemented and merged to work together so that we don't have too many things, duplications, that end up not serving the intended goal. Mr. Speaker, on NSSF, the President, whoever put that paragraph in his speech, I think should be called to order. It was a very casual statement, whereby it was said it's 200 times 12 times 30, yet NSSF is a fund where trustees are earning millions of shillings and are meant to invest that money for the people. In this House, we should not be discussing the change of the contribution, but instead to discuss the management of NSSF and the people put to task to ensure that they deliver their responsibility to the people of Kenya. I would like to thank members of my constituency, and I look forward to serving you in the next 5 years. In this House, congratulations.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Member for Bura.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to contribute and make my first maiden speech. I want to take this earliest opportunity to thank God Almighty for giving me this opportunity today to represent the great people of Bura constituency in this 13th Parliament. Secondly, I want to thank my parents and family, my dear wife, who really prayed for me and supported me throughout this journey. I also want, thirdly, to thank my employers, the great people of Bura constituency, who have shown confidence in me by giving me a landslide win against all other opponents. My great people of Bura constituency, I really want to assure them that I will serve them with purpose, I will serve them with dedication, and I will ensure that they get what they intended to get when they elected me to this august house. I want to specifically thank my team in Bangali Ward, my team Dogo Ward, my team in Sala and Chewele and Hermani Ward for the dedication they have done. Fast forward, Mr. Speaker, sir, indeed it's a dream come true for me to be contributing today in this august house. My election to this august house is a true testament that indeed no human is limited, and all dreams are valid, and if you dream and pursue your dreams with dedication and purpose, you will achieve. My employers have sent me here, Mr. Speaker, sir, to use all avenues, all premiums available to air their concerns and their grievances. Because of we have been given only 5 minutes, let me rush through the challenges within my constituency. The major issue about my constituency, the biggest challenge is the issue of drought facing all the arid and semi-arid lands. In my ward of Bangali Ward today, a 20-liter jerrycan of water goes for 80 shillings. If you quickly do your math, it is 1 liter, 4 shillings per 1 liter for this vital commodity. We do water tracking from as far as Garissa, which is 90 kilometers away from Bangali Ward. Today, I'm happy to report that I got a well-wisher who helped me with a 35,000 liters capacity water truck with a 35,000 watt capacity that is of great help to the people of Bangali Ward and the people of Sala Ward, which is the worst hit area. The second biggest challenge, and in this challenge of water, I want to take this opportunity to urge the government through the Ministry of Water to come in hand to help alleviate this problem. The second issue is about the identity cards. As we know, this is a very important document. And Mr. Speaker, sir, there's even a student who secured a scholarship to go and pursue further studies in Turkey, who was not able to go because of lack of this vital document. The issue of access to quality education is the last one I want to highlight because of lack of time. We have 13 secondary schools in Bura constituency, 10 being public schools and 3 being private schools. Out of this, the sorry state of it, the last KCSE examination that happened, the best school did or got a mean grade of a D plane, the best private school in my constituency. Mr. Speaker, sir, because of time, I wish to request government, the administration, the new administration, to help my constituency and to help farmers in my constituency so that at least we can help in the food security that is in line with the government agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Women Rep Taraka Nithi. Give her the mic.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm so delighted as I'm called upon to make my maiden speech and the debate a little on the presidential address that was made about 2 weeks ago. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish first to thank you, to really congratulate you for having been elected as in the 13th Parliament as a Speaker. Congratulations, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, it's a great honor as I stand in this House as the second woman representative, or rather the MP for the Tharaka-Nithi County. I first wish to thank the people of the Tharaka-Nithi County for bestowing on me strength to lead them in the affirmative action, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I know it was not easy being lifted from an MCA to a member of parliament, being lifted from a county assembly to a national parliament, and really winning against all the strains and the times having been elected in a non-domineering party, Mr. Speaker, sir. I also wish to thank my party leader, the TSP party leader who deputized, Honorable Mwangi Kiojori, for really holding my hands and helping me clinch the victory. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm here to affirm to the people of the Tharaka-Nithi County that I've not come here to make a career, but to make a difference in their lives. I've not come here to act in my interest, but the interest of the people of the Tharaka-Nithi County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to affirm to them that I really hold hands with my MPs, the MP for the Raka, Honorable John Chietonga Murgara, the MP for Mahara, Honorable Kareke Mbioki, and the MP for Chuke Gambangombe, Honorable Patrick Munene, to ensure that we really promote the issues of the Tharaka-Nithi County, especially the issues of the affirmative action groups, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I know Tharaka-Nithi County has really been marginalized. It has faced a lot of historical injustices, but with the leadership of Kenya Kwanza, with the leadership of His Excellency William Samoei Ruto, we are really assured and very hopeful that all these issues are going to be addressed. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm sure, and this has really been demonstrated by the fact that our president has gone to the most remote part of the Tharaka-Nithi County, the Tharaka constituency, and to the most remote part of Tharaka, the Runduni village, where he has nominated a CS for Interior and Government Coordination, Professor Kedore Kedeke. I really wish to congratulate him, and I pray that this House very soon will move ahead and Honorable Beatrice Kamba for having been elected twice as a woman representative for the Tharaka-Nithi County. Mr. Speaker, sir, the UDA party and the Kenya Kwanza are well aware of the role that Honorable Nkatha played in spearheading the campaign for the UDA party. And this regard, Mr. Speaker, sir, I pray that UDA and Kenya Kwanza really recognize the efforts of Honorable Beatrice Nkatha. I also wish her well in all of our endeavors. Mr. Speaker, sir, as pertains the presidential speech, Mr. Speaker, sir, it was brief and to the point. Mr. Speaker, sir, the presidential speech really has reassured us that we are not here even to tear apart institutions, but to nourish them. That we are not here, that we are here to nurture this nation, Mr. Speaker, sir. As I end today's speech, I want to end it with a note that the future of this nation does not belong to the faint-hearted, Mr. Speaker, sir, but to the brave. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I thank this House. Thank you.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Member for Rabai. Rabai. Rabai, not Aldai. Your turn will come.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kuweza kunipatia fursa hii ya mimi kuweza kutoa maoni yangu. Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka kwanza niseme nashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa umbali ambao ameweza kunifikisha hadi siku ya leo niko hapa katika bunge letu tukufu. Mheshimiwa Spika, naomba nichukue fursa hii na ya kipekee kuweza kuwashukuru wakazi wote wa eneo bunge la Rabai kwa kuweza kusimama na mimi na kuweza kujiudhi siku ya kura, wakajitokeza kwa wingi na kuweza kunichagua mimi nikaweze kuwa mtumishi wao. Ninataka kuchukua fursa hii kuweza kuuliza timu yote ile ya Kengamupe aka Apewe kutoka Mwawesa Ward, kutoka Ruruma, kutoka Kamberibe na Rabai Kisurutini. Kwa hakika mlifanya kazi ya maana, kazi nzuri, na mimi kama mtumishi wenu Anthony Kengamupe nataka kuhakikishia wakazi wote wa Rabai nitaweza kuwatumikia pasipo ubaguzi, pasipo kuangalia yule aliyenipigia kura na yule ambaye hakunipigia kura. Mheshimiwa Spika, nikija katika hoja ama hotuba ya rais. Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka niseme kwamba hotuba ya Mheshimiwa Rais ilikuwa ni safi sana, ilikuwa ni fupi, ilikuwa ni nzuri, ilikuwa ni ya kuaminika. Kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Spika, katika hotuba ya Mheshimiwa Rais aliweza kuzungumzia swala la mambo ya maji. Mheshimiwa Spika, kama tunavyojua katika katiba yetu ya Kenya, ibara ya 43 kifungu kidogo cha kwanza na kifungu cha da kinamhakikishia kila mtu haki ya kupata maji safi na salama na maji ya kutosha. Kwa hiyo nataka niseme kwamba Mheshimiwa Spika, ninapongeza sana hotuba ya Mheshimiwa Rais kwa sababu ameangazia swala la maji. Na mimi nikiwa mtumishi wa Rabai, nikiwa mbunge Rabai, tatizo kubwa sana ni swala la mambo ya maji. Kwa hiyo nataka niseme kwamba Mheshimiwa Spika, kupitia hotuba ya Mheshimiwa Rais amekuja na ubea kuhusu sekta ya umma na sekta ya ubinafsi, kuiwezesha kuhakikisha kwamba sekta hizi zitakuwa zinaweza kusambaza maji katika Wakenya wote. Na mimi nataka niseme kwamba ninapongeza sana hotuba ya Mheshimiwa Rais. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia nataka niseme kwamba katika hotuba ya Mheshimiwa Rais alizungumzia masuala ya kwamba ataanzisha Hustlers Fund. Mheshimiwa, mimi nataka niseme kwamba Mheshimiwa Spika, kupitia fandi hii vijana wetu wataweza kupata nafasi ya kuweza kufanya biashara ndogo ndogo. Mama mboga, mama fagio, mama kuuza nazi kutoka Rabai atapata nafasi nzuri ya kuweza kujiinua katika maisha. Kwa hiyo nataka niseme Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi napongeza kikamilifu hotuba ya Mheshimiwa Rais na ninaiunga mkono kwa sababu imezungumzia zile shida za mtu wa chini, hususan kutoka Rabai, Rabai sub county. Mheshimiwa Spika, nikimalizia nataka nikushukuru Mheshimiwa Spika kwa sababu nimekuwa nikijiuliza, Mheshimiwa Spika, wewe ni party leader wa Ford Kenya na alama yako ni Simba. Lakini juzi wakati ulipokuwa unatoa mwongozo maamuzi ya hapa bungeni, ni nani wengi katika bunge hili kwa hakika walisimama kama Simba na kuhakikisha kwamba Kenya kwanza ndio sisi wengi katika bunge hili. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika, na nakupongeza wewe na naibu wako, na Mungu abariki Kenya. Asanteni sana.
Asante Mheshimiwa mbunge wa Aldai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to make my maiden speech. I promise to make it short and sweet, just like the President's speech. First, let me congratulate you and your Deputy Speaker for your election in this House. Let me also congratulate the President for his election. And we are seeing that already, within the 30 days, he has already done so much. We noticed that Honorable Mbabu mentioned that the President has not done anything in 30 days. But we know that in 30 days, the President has done so much. The Hustler Fund, for example, sorry, not the Hustler Fund, but the Fuliza, for example, the interest rate has been reduced by 40%. That is no mean feat, and that has gone a long way in helping the Kenyan Mwananchi, or the bottom-up Mwananchi in getting credit at a cheaper rate. We also have seen him engage in many international activities, and in those international activities, he's getting many accolades, and he's being saluted by leaders, including the President of the United States of America. So who are we not to appreciate the work that he has done? The work that he has done in 30 days is no mean feat, and is being undermined by the people in the opposition. But he is trying to sort out a problem that was done in 10 years, the messes that were done in 10 years. So far in 30 days, he has done progress. Let's give him time. He has 5 years to deliver, and we are sure that he'll deliver. To the people of Aldai, I'd like to say thank you very, very much for having the faith and giving me this seat. You have done your bit. Mine is to deliver, and I surely will deliver. My 4-point agenda to the people of Aldai, first was the road infrastructure. In the 10 years that the annuity program was put in place, Aldai constituency got 0 kilometers. I would like to use the opportunity I have in this house to ensure that Aldai gets tarmac roads, at least some tarmac roads in the 5 years. The second agenda item is the agenda item on electricity. Many homes still lack electricity. I think we have 30% connectivity in Aldai. We hope that we have many more families getting connected. The third agenda item is on water, and I'm happy that the President in his speech has mentioned that water projects will be done on a public-private partnerships. So we will be able to get water to our homesteads. And finally, on education. We have a big shortage of teachers at the school, in various schools in Aldai, and hence the reason for low performance, or very poor performance in schools. We hope that the Ministry of Education will be able to send in more teachers. Kenya Kwanza promised to employ 106,000 teachers in the first and second year each, and we hope that out of those 106,000 teachers, majority of those teachers will go to our schools to ensure that these schools get enough teachers to be able to improve the teaching standards. On CDF, NGCDF, we are happy that the President recognizes that NGCDF has done a lot in our constituencies, and I will ensure that the NGCDF is used to improve the infrastructure in our schools. More than 25 schools in my constituency are still mad world in this day and age. I hope to ensure that by the time I'm done with my term, all the schools in Aldai constituency there should be no mad in all the schools in Aldai constituency. Priority is to the 25 schools that are still mad world. What I would only encourage is that in the NGCDF, we know that the NGCDF has been very, very successful, but we hope that other government projects, development projects, are channeled through the same framework of NGCDF, just like the way KERA has been fashioned. We hope that other government entities can also fashion their projects to the various constituencies, so that each and every constituency gets a pie of any projects or any development projects that are going to be done in the constituencies. I would wish to also mention about a specific school in my constituency that went on strike. We hope that that will be sorted out. Finally, on the issue of CBC, we want to allow
member for Keses.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Let me take this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to also join my colleague members to congratulate you and Mr. Speaker for having been given an opportunity to serve this honorable House. To the members of Keses constituency, the electorates who saw an opportunity to give me this chance to sit in this House and prosecute matters that touches on their lives and transforming their livelihoods. I want to congratulate them, and I want to believe that all of us know when you mention Keses, of course, something comes to your mind. And it wasn't that simple, but I want to thank God that I made it to this House. To the speech of the President, I want to say this is one of the speech ever that has been made in the shortest time that carries the weight of the matters that touches on the Kenyans. And on a quote of what the President says, that I have news and not very good news. Indeed, it was a speech that was made with an openness, without fear, and without hiding on any issues that touches on the Kenyan lives. It is true, and it's a matter of fact that we must admit, even in this house, that the lives of Kenyans are difficult now. The cost of living is on the higher side. The debts that have soiled our Kenyan economy is a reality. And that in this speech, it brings all our minds together to appreciate that we have a big role in this house to support the government in transforming our economic lives so that we are able to have a Kenyan that we dream to have. A Kenyans that Kenyans at the lower base shall enjoy their Kenyanship or their citizenship in this country. Madam Speaker, on the aspect of healthcare, I want to confirm to this house that we really have and we are facing a lot of challenges on the aspect that our Kenyans are going through now. Over the weekend, I managed to attend 2 families that are bereaved for losing their loved ones because of the challenges of cancer that is now ravaging all our site or our countryside. It is indeed an issue that we need to look at in this house, whether we need to prosecute laws that are going to enable the NHIF specifically to be able to take care of all these illness, especially the terminally illness that whenever it affects our families, one, at the end of it, it takes the lives of our loved ones, and beside that one, it brings down our economic ability. Number 2 is on the enabling of the bottom-up economic model that the President so much has been preaching out through his campaigns, the aspect of education. I come from a county that we entirely depend on education, agriculture, and of course, in education, the higher education. For the last few months, we remember there have been a lot of cases that our universities are aging and collapsing. More universities that I'm privileged to be in my constituency, as it is right now, requires a serious attention of the national government in an aspect of revolutionizing it up, reorganizing it up, so that it retains its glory by producing the human capital we require and by sustaining the supply of the working force in this nation. If at all, we are going to focus on improving our working environment and enabling our youth to be able to receive jobs. On the aspect of a solar fund, I was able to see in the paragraph 28. I want to appreciate the President for recognizing that we have a working nation. Kenyans who are very resilient. The challenges they are facing at the moment is access to cheap capital, access to funding that can fund their ideas, their innovation. This is something, again, we need to buoy together as a house of making laws and support the President. And I want to believe that the minister that is coming in, Honorable Chelugui, will consider, because I've seen paragraph 28, that the technology will be utilized to ensure this fund is managed. I want to consider, or I want to believe, that it's going to consider giving an opportunity to the youth of this nation, those who can be able to innovate this technology, as an example of appreciating the bottom-up economic model. Lastly, because I've seen my time has gone, Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate the President for nominating the just members of Parliament who have sat in this house to the Cabinet. These are the people who resonate well with the ground, people who understand where the real issues are. I want to congratulate them and ask them now, time on their side, to prove that indeed we can articulate and prosecute matters that touch the lives of Kenyans. Thank you so much, and may God bless you.
Member for Karachuonyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm happy that I've got the opportunity. I've really waited, but I think when I spoke with the Speaker himself, he told me to just wait, and I've waited. First, I congratulate you, Madam Speaker, for having been elected to your position, and I also congratulate the Speaker himself. Now, let me take this opportunity to thank my constituents, the Karachuonyo people, for having elected me the second time to the 13th Parliament. Madam Speaker, I want to refer to the President's speech. In particularly, I want to mention something about the cost of living. Now, when he removed the subsidy on fuel, it really meant that the cost of living had to go up. And as we speak, the cost of living has gone up many times, and the fuel is reaching a level of unaffordability. I think this policy of subsidy for production rather than consumption may not work well for Kenyans. Because if you take, for example, the fuel is imported. The production level or the production part is done in a country outside Kenya. And therefore, the policy of subsidizing productivity cannot apply because we cannot afford to give subsidy to a country outside ours. So I think this is something that should be considered, because otherwise, when fuel price goes up, it will give rise to prices of almost every commodity. Now, the one thing I think the President ought to have mentioned something on, but he very much avoided it, is corruption. Much of our money goes there. And when the President says that he wants to reduce the budget from 3.3 trillion by 0.3 trillion, I think he was trying to make ends meet. But what I want to suggest is that the reduction of budget is not helping anything, because it depends on what the budget was doing. If you reduce it by 300 billion, this 300 billion was supposed to do something for Kenyans. How is he going to fund that deficit? This is something that I think needs to be considered, otherwise we are going to have a problem. Maybe he should have gained this 300 billion by reducing corruption at a much higher figure than even the 300 billion he wants. The President visited my own county, and I thank him very much for it. Some people have criticized us, we the elected leaders, that we did not join the President during his visit. But let me say it here and now that criticism is not justified at all. We did not join the President because we did not even know that he was going to Homa Bay County. And therefore saying that we avoided being with him there is just trying to criticize us for nothing. I want this to go on record, Madam Speaker, because that's a very important thing. We don't want to be reflected negatively even where we are not concerned. Of course, the President has a right to visit any place, anywhere, at his own will, with somebody, a politician, joining him or going alone. That is his right. So he exercised his right. Why bring us into that problem that we did not want to be with him? No, that was not right. Madam Speaker, I see my time is over. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. And I want to say that I'm happy you have given me the opportunity.
Member for Moyale.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And as everybody else is doing, may I also take my chance to congratulate you and the Speaker for your election. I also want to thank the people of Moyale, the great people of Moyale, for giving me an opportunity to serve them in this August House. Madam Speaker, I also need to thank the people of Kenya for accepting to remain cohesive, peaceful during the uncomfortable election period. Madam Speaker, as the President said, the election was intensively contested, and in that both sides had almost equal number. And there is another 8 million people who did not vote. You do not know if they had voted which side they would have voted for. However, the people of Kenya remain obedient and loyal to the rule. Even the order of the leadership in this House was disputed and somehow settled in a very not acrimonious way. Madam Speaker, there was no clear winner, and that's why there was that contest. Africans like to refer to leadership as being God-given. And as leaders, and leadership is a choice. As leaders in this House, inside and outside this House, we need to constitute humanity and try to bring the nation together. On the presidential speech, I'm happy that the President talked of universal health coverage. This is a good thing, but I'm of the opinion that we need to find out how to make NHIF cover a universal thing that every Kenyan is entitled to. If you go to our neighbors like Rwanda, they have 98% NHIF coverage. There is no reason why we cannot do it. There is also need for us to achieve that universal health coverage to restructure the health ministry. The health ministry was devolved, but that devolution has actually disadvantaged areas that were already disadvantaged. There's no reason why a doctor should not be moved from Kisumu to work in Garissa and from Garissa to Kisumu. But this business of putting people in counties actually restricts the movements of people, deployment of staff, and therefore disadvantages areas which are already disadvantaged. And it's my view that we shall revisit that health facilities at the level of level 4, level 5, level 6 should be put under the national government, and level 3 to put under the county government. Madam Speaker, people talk of the President had a short speech. It was not short. It was actually 33 minutes of oral presentation. And somebody can cover a wide area. But I listened carefully for his mention on the drought, on the insecurity in the country. Many members on the floor have contributed to the issue of insecurity. Just a few days before his speech here, 11 police officers were killed in Turkana. Even this week, last week, somebody was killed, a police officer was killed. The government of Kenya should take positive action to make sure that these tribal clashes between police, clan clashes should come to an end. Madam Speaker, to finish, drought. The life and the livelihood of people from the north matters. We need to take positive steps to make sure that our lives are protected from recurring droughts, and people should take measures to make sure that the people do not die unnecessarily from the effects of drought every season. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Murang'a County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Betty Njeri Maina, and I wish first to thank Mighty God for giving me an opportunity to be elected as a member for county, Murang'a County. I also wish to thank the people of Murang'a County for electing me in an overwhelming way, being a youth and being a young lady. Madam Speaker, I wish to congratulate the Speaker for having been elected as the Speaker of this 13th Assembly, and for you, Madam Deputy Speaker, for being elected, being a female Deputy Speaker, and also being from the popular caucus of the women reps that used to be unpopular, whereby women rep used to be called flower girls. It shows that this house is coming to birth and we are really improving, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to go straight and congratulate the President for having nominated Honorable Aris Wahome to be the Cabinet Secretary for Water, Sanitation, and Irrigation. She is from Murang'a County, and I wish to confirm to the nation that Murang'a County is a hub for beautiful and brilliant women. We are sure that her given the opportunity by this House, she will take water and sanitation matters to the next level. Madam Speaker, I wish to comment on the presidential speech. 70% of the people of Murang'a County depend on agriculture. When we discuss agriculture matters and when we unlock agriculture, we are going to unlock the potential and the economy of the people of Murang'a County. Madam Speaker, I wish to pick a few points that the President talked about reducing the cost of production when it comes to animal feed and about reducing the cost of farm output, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I will not emphasize on issues to do with agriculture because people have commented, members have commented about it, but I wish to go straight to the Hustlers Fund. When you talk about the Hustlers Fund, Madam Speaker, I wish to appreciate the existence of other funds, including the Women Enterprise Fund, the Youth Fund, and also the Wezo Fund. People may have not felt the impact of these funds there previously, but if done and if these funds are distributed in the right manner, our people are going to feel the positive effects of these funds. Madam Speaker, we have hustlers from this nation. We have young women in this nation who are suffering because of going to other countries looking for greener pastures, and especially our ladies who are going to do works in countries like Saudi Arabia. Madam Speaker, if we empower these people, we are going to mitigate most of these issues. The Caribbean mic. Madam Speaker, if we continue empowering the hustlers, Madam Speaker, if we continue empowering the hustlers, we are going to mitigate the issues of migration, whereby our young ladies are migrating from Kenya to other nations to be misused and to be made captives. Madam Speaker, as I summarize, I would wish to go back to the issue to do with agriculture. If we work on agriculture, we are going to mitigate rural-urban migration and promote urban-rural migration. Through doing this, we are going to create employment, and we are going also to work on the issues of housing, whereby we are going to eradicate issues to do with slums. We are going to eradicate issues to do with congestion in our cities. Madam Speaker, I'm looking forward to work in this 13th Parliament, to be mentored, to be guided, and to take the people of Murang'a County to the next level. Thank you.
That was brief and concise and good. Member for Marakwet.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Kipchumba, the Member of Parliament, Marakwet West. Madam Speaker, thank you for giving me this opportunity to make these remarks. One, I wish to thank the people of Marakwet West for electing me. Madam Speaker, I was elected under extremely exceptional circumstances. I supposedly or allegedly lost the UDA nomination, and I went back to the ballot via the independent ticket, and the people of Marakwet West elected me overwhelmingly through the independent ticket. And I want to thank them so much. I wish to thank the people of Aroro Ward, the people of Kapsowar Ward, the people of Moibon Kusero Ward, the people of Leland Ward, the people of Cherangani Chibarora Ward, and the people of Sengwer Ward for electing me to this house. Madam Speaker, I came to this house when I was very young. I came to this house in the year 1996 when I was class 4 in Kamasat Primary School. Madam Speaker, when I came at that time, I think it painted a picture, and I made sure that whenever I schooled, I told myself that one day I must be in this house. And I thank God because I got an opportunity to be in this house. Madam Speaker, insofar as the presidential address is concerned, this time round, we have an exceptional president. If you read the book of A Man of the People by Chinua Achebe, there's a character known as Chief Nanga, who was described as a man of the people. I think His Excellency the President fits that definition. He is truly a man of the people. And I believe that when he settles down to work, you shall have a president of the people, by the people, and for the people. Madam Speaker, what touched me on the President's speech was his commitment to the rule of law. For me, that is a cardinal principle that this country must be ruled upon. We must be a country that abides by the rule of law. Madam Speaker, I want to commend because the first thing he did was to appoint the judges, the 6 judges who are in abeyance by the other regime, and I think that was a hallmark of obedience to the rule of law. Madam Speaker, the President also committed that he would implement bottom-up scaling of justice. Madam Speaker, I come from a constituency where we have one court serving 4 constituencies. The court is located in Iten. In Marakwet West, we have no court. Marakwet East, we have no court. Keyo North and Keyo South, they are only served by one court in Iten. Madam Speaker, I believe that going forward, we shall have many courts at the local level. Madam Speaker, I also want to comment on an issue that the President made, that he would implore upon this House to amend the standing orders so that the CSs can appear before the floor of the House so that they can be asked questions. Madam Speaker, I am inclined to the school of thought that as per the current constitutional dispensation, the CSs may not appear before the floor of this House because the architecture of our constitution is presidential. And that will call for a relook at our constitutional architecture so that the members or the CSs can be able to appear before the floor of this House. Madam Speaker, on the issue of CDF, I think personally, without CDF, there is nothing much that the members of the National Assembly can be able to achieve. So I think since we have the goodwill of the President, it would be good if the same is entrenched in the Constitution, the same is constitutionalized, so that just like other funds, the CDF is entrenched in the Constitution. On the security matter, he never touched it, but I believe we have confidence. I have confidence that security along Kerio Valley Belt shall be dealt with accordingly by this government. Finally, Madam Speaker, I want to thank the President for appointing our CS Kipchumba Murkomen, our Senator, to be the CS for roads, transport, and infrastructure. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Nominated member from Garissa, Honorable Harun.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. My name is Mulkhair Harun, and it is with great honor and responsibility that I'm able to serve in this 13th Parliament. I appreciate my party, ODM, for believing in my capacity and for allowing me to represent the interest of young people in this country. I also want to congratulate all members who are elected and nominated from different political parties and wish them well as they discharge their mandate. Madam Speaker, President William Samoei Ruto, in his inaugural session of this House, outlined various issues in his administration and would wish to undertake. One fundamental issue His Excellency touched that was of immediate consideration is the current drought afflicting our people in northern parts of our country. I would urge the President to work closely with the Pastoral Parliamentary Group to address the immediate needs as well as stable long-term solutions. ASAL regions make up 89% of land cover of this country. Madam Speaker, I would like to let the House know that the best lemons and watermelons come from Garissa County and northern Kenya at large. On Hustlers Fund, it is my belief that the President will actualize his pledge to the youth who I represent in this House. I urge him to ensure the fund is immediately availed to these Kenyans on an affordable interest rates to either expand or start their businesses. On GMOs, a country like Kenya isn't having food shortage because it can't produce enough. The food shortage is largely because we are not producing for subsistence use. We are producing for international market whose economic policies do not favor the producers, especially in the third world countries. Kenya does not need GMOs to tackle food security. What we need are policies and universally available food preservation methods. We lose a lot of food to wastage due to rejection by international exporters. Using the drought as a reason to allow GMOs in Kenya is wrong without ensuring all the safeguards are in place. For example, Kenya has not ratified the Nagoya Kuala Lumpur Supplementary Protocol to Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety. The protocol provides international rules and procedures in the field of liability and redress relating to living modified organisms. The protocol requires that response measures are taken in the event of damage resulting from the living modified organisms or where there is sufficient likelihood that damage will result if timely response measures are not taken. My question is then, how do we open ourselves to this biotechnology without proper protection measures in the name of food security? Instead, why don't we build dams and dispatch irrigation technology to address the food security challenge? We should invest in organic foods instead of going GMO. We have plenty of arable land that if irrigated, we can feed ourselves and export food. Interesting to note that when NEP counties are short of food, farmers in Molo are feeding fresh produce to their animals due to lack of market. GMO will have adverse effects on organic farming. My question is, has the government consulted the public? Was there any form of public participation before this decision was made? How can the government arbitrarily make such decisions while being subservient to foreign interests? The decision has regional implications. Tanzania, for example, has already braced itself for the possibility of our GMOs finding its way in its country, thus affecting the harmony of freedom between neighboring states of the East African community. Madam Speaker, I would like to thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to representing the interests of young people in this House. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Member for Trans Nzoia County. Okay, member for Trans Nzoia County. Is she here? Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance to represent the people of Trans Nzoia. My name is Lilian Sioi, a woman MP from Trans Nzoia County, and I would like to appreciate or thank the Almighty God for granting us this chance for me to be here today, and my special thanks goes to the people of Trans Nzoia County, the men and women of Trans Nzoia County, for having elected me without looking the lines of tribal or having looked in the lines of party, because I'm one of the persons who was elected on UDA ticket, yet we had other candidates who were also elected on other tickets. I appreciate largely the people of Trans Nzoia. Thank you so much, and I promise to serve you with diligence and fairness. I also want to congratulate you, Madam Speaker, for being elected as our Deputy Speaker. Congratulations, us as women of Trans Nzoia and women of this nation at large. We are so much proud of you, and congratulations so much. I also want to go direct to the speech of the President in the House last time when he was here. He talked about the Hustler Fund, and I want to urge this House, the only problem that we've been having a concern of this country is the access to credit. That is a problem that our country has been having, and it is important that our President thought it right to have the fund accessible to the people who cannot afford to access these other services like the banks, to have loans so that they can improve their lives. So, Madam Speaker, I want to say thank you so much to my party leader for mentoring me and having trust in me and giving me the ticket of which I had to deliver. And today I'm here representing the people of Trans Nzoia. I also want to urge the men in the House, as we deliberate on the amount that we are supposed to give to the Hustler Fund, I want to urge the men in this House that you also deliberate on the same, especially on the Affirmative Action Fund that the women have been given. That amount that we've been given is very little. Bearing in mind that the population we are representing, the men, the women, youth, and people with disability are the most vulnerable in our county, in our country, and they are also the most highly populated. I want to urge you that when we discuss on the disbursement of that amount on Hustler Fund, let's have an increment on our fund too, so that we can be able to give the women, youth, and people with disability in this country the services that will serve them right. And I know if we empower women, we will have empowered the whole community. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance once again.
Member for Loima.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to add my voice to today's presidential or president's speech debate. Madam Speaker, for records, my name is Protas Akuja, Member of Parliament for Loima constituency in Turkana County. Before I make my comments to the President's speech, Madam Speaker, allow me to take this opportunity to thank the great people of Loima constituency for recognizing my commitment to work for them and therefore giving me another chance to serve them. I therefore not take this for granted. Madam Speaker, the President's speech, according to me, was concise and elaborate. However, I'm quick to mention that I note with utmost concern that the President's speech did not address the issue of security, as mentioned by one of the members from Baringo. I know there could be some relative peace in some part of this country, but outstandingly, the external aggression Kenyans continue to face from Uganda, South Sudan, Ethiopia, to the people of Turkana County is very loud. The Kenya government has been silent on the daily killing of the Turkana pastoralists in Lokchogyo, Lotere in Urum, Loyoro, Kibich, Todaj, and Todanyang. Leave alone the internal insecurity within our county interboundaries, which has been happening in form of livestock theft, or commonly known as cattle rustling. This long-standing threat has caused loss of lives to many people, destruction of property, loss of livelihoods, displacement of people, closure of public amenities or social amenities such as health centers, schools, among others. But the government has been so quiet on this particular issue. Madam Speaker, I urge the government to put to an end these barbaric and backward activities which have for a long time been commercialized, while the cartels running this show are on the loose and nobody is apprehending them. The government should deploy security forces, including the National Police Reserve, along our borders to check the runaway insecurity in these areas. There is need to have proper communication networks along these problematic borders for efficient reporting of any insecurity incidences, because some of these areas do not have Safaricom, neither telecom. and therefore atrocities are done to the people without having time to report anywhere to any government forces. Allow me also to comment on some of the projects that have stalled in my constituency, which I hope this government will fast track them. One is completion of Lodwar, Lorgum, Loya, and Yapong Road to ease movement of people, goods, and services. Secondly is construction, opening, and operationalization of Lokriama border point to promote trade between Kenya and Uganda and to ease movement of people, goods, and services. Three, completion of Lodwar High Court that stalled or got stalled in 2015. This will help scale up justice and adjudicate cases efficiently, because since this particular court got stalled, all the cases are now referred to Kitale, which is very expensive for the government and even for people to travel to Kitale to be able to get their justice. Last and not the least, on scaling up of productivity, agriculture productivity, indeed Kenya is an agricultural country whose agricultural sector contributes to 20% of the GDP and employs about 40% of the total population and provide employment to 70% of the rural population. Therefore, scaling this productivity requires sufficient budgets that will deliberately put our farmers into farming activity to produce more.
Honorable Member, I won't allow your point of order because you should press the intervention button, which you have repeatedly not done, but instead shouted from your seat. I now call upon Member for Tana River County.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. To begin with, let me congratulate you on your election as Deputy Speaker to this 13th Parliament. It is our belief that you will preside over the business of this House with no fear or favor. I also wish to convey my heartfelt gratitude to the people of Tana River County to have given me the mandate to be their women representative. As for those of us who've been elected from the far-flung counties, we fully understand the enormity of the responsibilities placed on our shoulders by our people who constantly brave the extreme drought, insecurity, and untold poverty. Therefore, our debut to the 13th Parliament is not on itself the change that we seek for our people. It is only an opportunity to make that change. Madam Speaker, in these regards, I wish to emphasize on the sentiment made by my colleagues, especially those who hail from the arid and semi-arid areas. In particular, Tana River County is grappling in severe drought, and it is disheartening that in this age and era, our women have to hit the road under scorching heat for tens and kilometers in search of water. Madam Speaker, in regards to in these regards, in his address to the joint sitting of this House, the President announced that the government had embarked on distribution of the relief to the drought-stricken areas. While we welcome this move, I wish to urge the relevant government institution including the county government of Tana River, to ensure that the relief reach everyone facing the drought across the county, especially in my county, the areas of Wayu, Hirmani, Asa, Kone, and Bangal, which are really facing severe drought. Madam Speaker, the President also spoke robustly on incentivizing agricultural production through fertilizer subsidy programs. These subsidy programs will drive production to those engaging in crop farming, such as maize. I want to challenge the government to ensure that livestock farmers are also given the premium they deserve. The pastoralist significantly contributes to the GDP of this country, but end up being overlooked or even according cosmetic policy intervention. As a daughter of pastoralist, and I represent the people of Tana River in this house, I bear sacred responsibility to devise mechanism and collaboration with the government to escalate the extensive services for livestock farmers, increase purchase of livestock products such as beef, and invest in value addition of livestock products such as beef and milk within our county. The value chain will provide employment for our people and increase their thresholds. Lastly, despite being elected on KANU ticket, it is worth noting that Tana River County contributed to the victory of the President, and it is among the 39 counties that presented 25%, actually 44% of the votes. Legal threshold which win the presidency. However, during his announcement, the cabinet secretaries, none came from Tana River. I also wish to urge the President to kindly consider people of Tana River by giving us opportunities in the coming opportunities like principal secretaries, administrative secretaries, and head of parastatals. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Member for Mandera.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate you for your election as the Deputy Speaker of this August House. Madam Speaker, I wish to thank the people of the great county of Mandera who elected me overwhelmingly. Mr. Speaker, I cannot take that for granted. I thank the few that did not vote for me as well. I assure them that I'm going to represent them well and ensure that services are delivered to them. Madam Speaker, I also wish to thank the leadership of Kenya Kwanza, who saw it fit to nominate me to the House Business Committee. Madam Speaker, as you know, the House Business Committee is a crucial committee that handles businesses that come to this House, Madam Speaker. I want to tell the members that I will ensure that businesses are prioritized and that they are on time, God willing. Madam Speaker, if I come to the President's speech, the speech was generally good, precise, and to the point, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the point that caught my eye most is the point where the President spoke about the youth, Madam Speaker. As you know, the youths are an integral part of this society, and that he's going to tap their potential and nurture them, Madam Speaker, in whichever way that they are good at, Madam Speaker. As you know, Madam Speaker, the Hustlers Fund, that is 50 billion, is meant for the hustlers, Madam Speaker. When we speak of the hustlers, here we speak of the women, the youth, the persons living with disabilities, the widowed, the orphans, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as you know, as the Women County MP of Mandera, and speaking on behalf of all Women County MPs, Madam Speaker, the amount allocated for us is very little. It's not impactful. I wish to urge the President to give us some partial amount from that fund so that we serve our people well. He expressed his goodwill for the CDF, and we wish that he also considers ours, Madam Speaker. The other point that has been echoed by many of my colleagues, Madam Speaker, is the biting drought that I hope and pray that it does not get escalated into famine, Madam Speaker, is very dire. Unfortunately, the people managing, the task force managing that was formed by the Deputy President, members of Parliament have not been included, Madam Speaker. And it says that we will be appearing there on need basis. We are the people's representatives. We've been elected by the people to represent them, and this is when they need us most, Madam Speaker. And I wish and hope that the leadership will think about that. Madam Speaker, the other part is that I want to speak about is the insecurity that is ravaging the pastoral communities, Madam Speaker. We've been seeing in the news the last 3 weeks what's been happening from Baringo to Marsabit to Turkana, Madam Speaker. Militias and bandits are wreaking havoc, Mr. Speaker, killing young, promising, gallant soldiers, Madam Speaker. In my county, or in Northeastern, Madam Speaker, we have sporadic clan clashes that happen in inter-county because of border issues, because of water and pasture, Madam Speaker, inter-county conflicts, intra-county conflicts, inter-clan conflicts, and intra-clan conflicts, Madam Speaker. Those were issues that were close to our hearts and are still close to our hearts, but the President did not speak about the insecurity issue. The only goodwill I know is that the
member for Mogotio.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to take this moment, Madam Speaker, to thank the great people of Mogotio and Almighty God for enabling me to be here. Madam Speaker, the great people of Mogotio from Kisanana Ward, Mogotio Ward, and Emening Ward have a special place in my heart, Madam Speaker, for entrusting in me this leadership mantle. Madam Speaker, on the presidential speech, Madam Speaker, the speech was short, precise, meticulous, and very practical, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, for those who are saying the speech was short, one of the greatest speeches ever delivered to mankind, Madam Speaker, was done in 1960 by J.F. Kennedy, which lasted for 13 minutes. But Madam Speaker, up to date, we still remember the content of ask not what you can do for your country, what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Madam Speaker, the speech talked about agriculture, which I think is the main pillar which can change the economy of this country, especially for those of us who come from the rural part of the country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, he talked about agriculture from production to manufacturing, Madam Speaker, which in return will not only create food stability, but will also create employment to our young people who are languishing in abject poverty because of lack of employment, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the President also talked about housing, which in itself is a source of employment for the young people of this nation, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it will also solve the problem faced by the urban Kenyans who lack housing and live in shanties, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the President also talked about ASELA Fund, which for me and where I'm coming from as an ASELA, Madam Speaker, and a true image of what ASELA is and what ASELA can achieve, Madam Speaker. ASELA Fund can give potential to young people who are languishing back at home because of they don't have capital to start up their business, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, if well implemented, Asila Fund can change the million of young people who are not paying taxes because they don't have anything, Madam Speaker, to create tax base for this country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the President was very honest in his speech that as a country, we don't have money, Madam Speaker. That the country, the coffers were emptied by the previous regime, Madam Speaker, and that we need to do something to save so that we can be able to invest, Madam Speaker. In itself, the President addressed our issues and the solutions that we should do going forward. Madam Speaker, I want to donate my time, Madam Speaker, to my brother Gideon, who I think has been waiting for a long time to say something, because people back at home are waiting for his speech in hotels and kiosks to listen to their new MP. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and God bless you.
Member for Keyo South, then, that you've been donated for time.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, my brother Kiborek. Madam Speaker, before I give my speech, I'm a bit disappointed. I came to this house at 1:15 p.m. No, allow me to talk. Allow me to talk. Yeah. Madam Speaker, I speak for many new members of parliament in this house who came here very early. Not today alone. Last week, 4 days, we've been waiting for this time to be given. And it's unfair in all measure. We don't ask for any favor. All we are saying is be fair to us, the new members. I am afraid if this is going to be the order of business in this house, I'll be in trouble with the standing orders, because I will ask you for fair share of our time in this house. Madam Speaker, all that said, congratulations for your selection as the Deputy Speaker.
Can I allow? Good for you. You can have 2 minutes.
Okay. I know that was Kiborek's time, but thank you for giving me my time. Madam Speaker, as I was saying, thank you for this time, and I congratulate you for your election as the Deputy Speaker, and also the Speaker for being elected as the Deputy Speaker. I use this opportunity to thank the people of Keyo South for electing me to be their Member of Parliament. I say thank you to all the wards and the people who campaigned for me. I say thank you to the people of Kaptarako Ward, the people of Chepkorio, the people of Soy North, the people of Soy South, the people of Metkei, and the people of Kabiamit Ward. I also say thank you to everybody who contributed in one way or the other for me to be elected as Member of Parliament. I also thank the President for nominating Wasiri Kipchumba Murkomen, who has been a father figure for us in Elgeyo Marakwet, for his nomination to the Cabinet as the Minister for Roads and Infrastructure. I wish him well, and Murkomen has led the way for us in Elgeyo Marakwet County. We are all young, Murkomen being the oldest at 42, 41 years. All the MPs from the women rep are young thugs, including the governor, His Excellency Wesley, who is around 35 years. We say thank you to Murkomen for leading the way. On the President's speech, I thank the President for his commitment and determination to lead this country in the right direction. The President promised a paradigm shift, a shift from the normal way of doing things, a shift from the politics of tribalism to the politics of inclusivity and the politics of issues, a shift from the politics of dynasties to politics of hustlers. A shift from an economic model of trickle-down to an economic model of bottom-up. A shift from subsidizing consumption to subsidizing production. A shift from an economy that relies on debt, external debt, to an economy that relies on savings. And finally, a shift from people being put on CRB, blacklisted on CRB, to people accessing credit. Finally, Madam Speaker, let me address the people of Keyo South. I promised you, the people of Keyo South, that I will work on the opening of LOSPA. I will work on the construction of Kimorer Dam, which was stopped by the previous regime. I will work on the issue of Shamba system, which allows you to plant your maize in the forest at the same time you conserve the forest. And I will speak for your road construction in the constituency. Thank you, Madam Speaker. God bless Kenya. Thank you.
Member for Thika Town.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't know whether I'll be audible enough. I was under the weather over the weekend, but something very interesting took place. My Arsenal team won the Liverpool match. At least that kept me going. Madam Speaker, may I take this opportunity to congratulate you, all the leadership of this House, for making it to the 13th Parliament. Madam Speaker, I also want to thank the people of Thika Town constituency for giving me an opportunity to represent them in this Parliament. And also, Madam Speaker, I also want to thank everybody over there, those who prayed for us, those who prayed for Kenya Kwanza, Team Mama, team that went and worked hard every day to make sure that we won. I want to thank them very much because they made sure that we won in every polling center in our constituency. Madam Speaker, I also would want to thank all generals from Kiambu, led by our majority leader, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, for we crisscrossed the entire of Kiambu County and the entire country in search of votes, and truly, God answered our prayers. That is why we are here today. Madam Speaker, as we are aware, it was not an easy thing. We campaigned very hard. The yellow fever took over. The symptoms were detected across the entire country. 2 weeks to August 8th, the entire country, the momentum was unstoppable. It was like a Porsche with no brakes. Kenya Kwanza was reading in terms of all polls, not the fake polls from the establishment, but from the real polls we were reading all over. Madam Speaker, we swept the entire country in terms of voter mobilization and the readiness to vote. And that's how we found ourselves at the majority at the national level, in both houses and at the county level. Madam Speaker, the battle was not easy, but we endured. We made sure that having God on our side, we never agreed to surrender or to be intimidated. We knew all the setbacks were going to be a setup for our blessings. And that is how we made it. Because our God took it over and made sure that we were going to be a living testimony. Madam Speaker, if anybody ever asks you whether you have ever witnessed a miracle, I would want to say today, tell them to look at Kenya Kwanza, because us, we are living testimony of what God can do when he's on your side. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I want now to add towards the contribution on Mr. President's speech, the one he did it on the day we opened our parliament. Madam Speaker, our dear President is one kind of a man, a very hardworking, and given a chance, he shall transform this country, restore it, elevate it to unimaginable levels. Given an opportunity, in his speech, he affirmed that he was going to protect our Constitution jealously and guard our institution by strengthening them, the existing ones, and to make sure that we were not going to overrun them. Madam Speaker, hundreds of men and women in Kenya are suffering through the hardship and burden, and the burden is too heavy for them to bear. Madam Speaker, as we are speaking right now, there are so many homes that are going without food. We need to work extra hard, and we go back to our basics, where farming was our backbone of this nation. Madam Speaker, provided with all the necessary equipment and produce, our country can go back to farming.
Member for Chuka.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish Madam Speaker first to congratulate you for being elected as a Deputy Speaker of this House. And also as a woman being a Deputy Speaker, I think it's a good thing and it shows what Kenya Kwanza really stands for. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I wish to thank the people of Chuka-Gambangombe constituency who gave me a second chance to represent them in this House. Madam Speaker, it's a constituency that is really not known to elect people for a second time, but I want to thank them because they made sure that I came back to this House again. Madam Speaker, I wish to say the following. One, I come from a constituency, Madam Speaker, that has so many stored projects. Everybody in this House knows what happened during the last campaigns, that those who didn't support the government, their project was sabotaged by the previous government. Madam Speaker, we have a county assembly, a county headquarters in Tharaka Nithi that has no access road at all. The road was given a contractor, but because we, the people of Tharaka Nithi, decided to unanimously support the Deputy President then, who is the President now, the project was sabotaged. We worked again, we got contractors who have never reported to site up to now. So we have a county headquarters which we can say is non-existent. Madam Speaker, the county headquarters lies in my constituency. I think it's only the county headquarters in this country that has no court, no Huduma Center, and no facilities at all, just because we were punished for supporting the Kenya Kwanza government. But I wish to thank the President, William Ruto, because he recognized all that pain and has finally rewarded Tharaka Nithi with a cabinet secretary. And I wish to tell this House that Tharaka Nithi is the only county in this country, I think, that has had no cabinet secretary since independence. So Kithure Kindiki is the first cabinet secretary in Tharaka Nithi. Madam Speaker, being a health professional, I was so happy when the President talked about UHC, because I can tell this House, we might discuss airports, we might discuss loans, but the people of this country, their greatest burden is on the health sector. I happened to be in the last parliament, and we traveled to Cuba to benchmark on the Cuban health system. And I want to tell this House, when I landed in Cuba, I wondered what we are doing there. No big hospitals, no equipment, but it's only how they have organized their health care. So when the President talked about primary health care, preventive health care, promotive health care, I felt so good, because what happens in this country, we treat our people when they are too sick. We normally talk theoretically that be visiting a doctor for checkup, how many Kenyans can be able to afford a checkup? And when I went to Cuba, Madam Speaker, we were other members of parliament, we found a very well-organized health system. We are in every village, for example, a location, we have a doctor, we have a clinic officer, and a nurse who go house to house, checking on the people. That makes sure that their people don't get extremely sick before they go to hospital. I really wish that would be the meaning of primary health care in this country. Madam Speaker, I've come from the Rakanidi, and we have a bridge called Nidi. The president in his last visit promised that he will work with the Nidi bridge. It has been a killer bridge in this country. It's not only the people of the Rakanidi who die along this bridge, so it's really an issue that we, the people of the Rakanidi, would wish the president to work on. And finally, Madam Speaker, we know our president is so passionate about agriculture. Until people can feed themselves, they remain slaves. Madam Speaker, Kenya, the backbone of this country is agriculture. Today, Madam Speaker, coffee farmers in Mount Kenya, tea farmers in Mount Kenya, milk farmers in Mount Kenya have been made paupers by cartels. And when I talk about cartels, I don't forget the milk sector, which has the largest cartel, and we know from which quarters. And finally, Madam Speaker, I wish to say that today the President mentioned border. I wish we can remove the high taxes we have placed on border so that our young people can afford at least to buy borders for themselves. Because most of them are now employed by rich people who are able to buy borders at that expensive price. And finally, Madam Speaker, I was in my constituency yesterday. Half of the students are at home.
Member for Bomet County, aka Toto. Honorable member, unless you press the intervention button, I won't be able to see you. Member for Bomet County.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank our Almighty Father for being with us all. Secondly, I want to congratulate you on your election as the Deputy Speaker. I also want to congratulate our Speaker, Wetangula, for being elected as the Speaker of this Parliament. Thirdly, I want to congratulate the people of Bomet for actually believing in me, for voting me in, and for their prayers. Madam Speaker, as you understand, I just graduated and come to fight for this particular seat. For the very many people of Bomet who assisted me, allow me to mention one person by the name Gideon Chiruyot. When I declared about my ambition, he came to my home. He asked me whether I was serious about the ambition, and he decided to assist me with this border. He used to be fueling, using his own money, taking me to the field from morning and take me back to the evening. Gideon, wherever you are, may God bless you. You really impacted on my campaigns, and very many people of Bomet who print for me posters, who prayed for me, who supported me financially, and finally voted me in. Thank you for believing in me despite my age and status. I want to affirm to you that we shall work together. I won't let you down. I'm here in 13th Parliament to represent your interest. Thank you, Madam Speaker, sir. I also want to congratulate the people of Kenya for voting in our President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto. I know with this new government, we shall be able to assist very many Kenyans. I also want to congratulate him for introducing the Hustler Nation. I know in this 13th Parliament, we have very many hustlers, and in that regard, it is the hope of very many people that everything is possible. I'm also very happy to stand in this particular house as the youngest parliamentarian in this country. Madam Speaker, sir, I never take that one for granted. Following the presidential speech, he has talked of agriculture. That I want to say, I know he's going to improve on that sector, and our people, especially in my county, that is Bomet, they will be able to enhance the income and also the food production activity, Madam Speaker. There is also this issue of Hustler Fund, the 50 billion to each financial year. I know very many hustlers will be able to be in a better position. We have the OCAs, we have the micro and small and medium, that they will be able to enhance their business enterprises. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, thank you, and may God bless us all. Asante.
Member from Madira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I must thank you for giving me this opportunity to make my first speech in this House. And secondly, Madam Speaker, I must congratulate you for having been elected as the Deputy Speaker of the 13th Assembly. Madam Speaker, my name is Eric Wamumbi, the member for Mathira, and my election, Madam Speaker, was a miracle. I was not prepared for this until the former member of Parliament for Mathira was elevated to become the second Deputy President of this Republic. And that's how my election came by. And for that reason, Madam Speaker, I must thank the people of Mathira for having trust in me, for believing in me, and for electing me to represent them in this August House, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I would not forget to thank my mentor, my friend, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, who held my hand, who believed in me, who believed in a young leader. And I was agitated, Madam Speaker, when I had the nominated member, Honorable Bandi, and he was saying that the Deputy President has been saying that it is their time to eat. Madam Speaker, I would want to tell Honorable Bandi that His Excellency the Deputy President is not a petty man. He is not. He is consistent and he means what he says. He said that that the government, which is led by the President William Ruto and the Deputy, is going to work for all the people of this country, both those who voted for them and those who did not vote for them, Madam Speaker. Finally, Madam Speaker, the two things that I took time in the President's speech, one is the Hustlers Fund, Madam Speaker, and we have so many young people who are languishing in poverty, and some of them end up going to seek employment from foreign countries and they are being tortured from those countries, Madam Speaker. When that credit is availed, we are going to make sure that young men and women of this country engage in business and they are no longer going to seek employment from countries that are torturing them, Madam Speaker. And finally, agriculture. And I'm happy that President has committed to revive irrigation-fed agriculture as compared to rain-fed agriculture. It is only through business and agriculture that we are going to revive the economy of this country, Madam Speaker. And we have seen the President and Deputy, they have already started distribution of fertilizers to enable farmers to engage in farming. And secondly, the most important thing they are going to do is to revive irrigation-fed agriculture so that our people can engage in farming, so that that coffee farmer, that milk farmer, that tea farmer, when they are on their farm tilling, they know that their returns they are going to get after the end of season. And with those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I thank you. God bless us all, and God bless Kenya.
Honorable members, having completed the 4 days of debate of the address of His Excellency the President, I now call upon the mover to reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me take this opportunity to thank all the members, close to 133 members, Honorable Speaker, who have contributed to this debate. And that, Honorable Speaker, tells you is about a third of the members who sit in this chamber. Honorable Speaker, this huge number of people who have contributed, Honorable Speaker, if I may beg the members who are preparing to exit, we will donate a few minutes to a few, so I don't intend to take a lot of time to be able to donate a few minutes towards the end. I was saying, Honorable Speaker, it's evident, Honorable Speaker, that many of the members in this House do support the policies that were espoused by His Excellency the President and indeed the legislative agenda that His Excellency the President and the government of the Republic of Kenya will be bringing forth to this House, Honorable Speaker. And I must indeed be very thankful to all the members. Honorable Speaker, there are many pertinent issues that have been raised by members in their address to the House in regard to this speech, Honorable Speaker, touching on policies, on issues touching on stalled projects that are all over the country, the state of our economy, Honorable Speaker, certain counties and parts of our constituencies that are being ravaged by the ongoing drought, Honorable Speaker. And indeed, Honorable Speaker, even the level of healthcare and the state of healthcare in the country. And more so, Honorable Speaker, I also have had a number of members in their contributions touch on the CBC education system. And as members are aware, there's already a working party that His Excellency the President has set in place under the Ministry of Education to look into the CBC curriculum. Honorable Speaker, His Excellency in his address also did challenge this House to amend our standing orders to enable cabinet secretaries to come and espouse on government policy and tell this House what they are doing in government, what policies they are pushing through, to answer questions and respond to statements from members of Parliament on behalf of their constituents. And Honorable Speaker, I think this is a very good step. Those who served with us in the 11th and 12th Parliament, you remember, chairs of committees have had a difficult time trying to explain government policy, to answer questions on behalf of government. But you now, as the people's representatives, have an opportunity to question cabinet secretaries on their work in government and indeed hold them to account. And that tells you the level, the thinking of His Excellency the President, that he indeed wants to run an open, transparent, and accountable government. And I indeed want to challenge members that when the time comes, as soon as we set up the committees on House procedures should quickly be able to review our standing orders and allow cabinet secretaries to come and answer our questions here. And that we will be able to hold to account our cabinet secretaries and make sure that the government of Kenya is delivering on its mandate to the people of Kenya as was promised during the campaign. Honorable Speaker, we also have an obligation as members of Parliament, and I did say in my contribution to this speech, Honorable Speaker, that the agenda that His Excellency the President espoused through the policies and legislative proposals that you'll be bringing are not for Kenya Kwanza, they are not for William Ruto. These are policies and an agenda for the people of Kenya and for the Republic of Kenya. And we all represent people from across the country. I would therefore beg honorable members to support the legislative agendas as they are rolled out, Honorable Speaker, because they will go towards improving the lot of our people, improving on our economy that is quite dilapidated, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, I also did hear quite a few members speak on the issue of corruption. And it is fashionable, Honorable Speaker, to speak about corruption. But it is better not to speak about corruption, but to act on issues to do with corruption. And I did say in my contribution, Honorable Speaker, the president that I know, the president who is serving this country today, is a man who will not only speak, he may even fail to speak, but he will act. He's a man of action, and indeed you will bear witness that the first few things that he has done through executive orders have gone towards acting in ensuring that we resource our institutions and institutionalize the fight against corruption, Honorable Speaker, so that our institutions are able to fight corruption, so that we don't end up just speaking about corruption and doing nothing in actual sense. Honorable Speaker, with those very many remarks, I now beg to reply. And as I do that, Honorable Speaker, let me donate 1 minute to the Honorable Harry Kombe, the Honorable Mary Amase, the Honorable Taitumu, and representing independence, the Honorable Kitialai. One must be half a minute.
Kikuyu, leader of majority, you have already completed the reply, so you cannot donate the time. Should have done that before.
Oh, before I replied? Yes. Honorable Speaker, may I then continue? I thought...
we actually have less than 4 minutes to
So would I, Honorable Speaker, with your
You donate to
indulgence,
him
maybe
in a
donate
future.
to Honorable Harry Kombe and Honorable Kitialai and Miriam Mase, 1 minute. Then I reply, if I can take back my reply.
Asante, Mheshimiwa Spika. Asante ndugu Ichung'wah. Nichukue nafasi hii kwa kifupi niwashukuru watu wa Magarini, na nichukue nafasi hii nimpongeze Rais kwa kuchaguliwa kuongoza Jamhuri ya Kenya, na pia vile vile nigusie machache yale aliyoyazungumzia. Kwanza nizungumzie zile hela za wachochole, yani Hustlers Fund. Ikiwa hiyo itapatikana na ikaweze kuwekwa kwa njia ya uadilifu, hakika itawasaidia vijana, kina mama na wale wasiojiweza kuweza kujiendeleza. Pia vile vile swala hili la National Government Constituency Development Fund tuweze kuliangazia katika katiba haraka iwezekanavyo, ili kwamba watoto wetu wasibaki majumbani. Wengi saa hizi wako majumbani kwa sababu
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I want to thank the Majority Leader for giving me this 1 minute. And I'm going to take this 1 minute first and foremost just to give honor and glory to God for having found favor in me to represent the people of Teso South for another term after having served in the 11th Parliament. And because I know I have only 1 minute, I'm going to take this opportunity to appreciate the people of Teso South and say thank you so much for trusting and believing in me and giving me another time to serve you. I want to promise you that I'm going to work and I will serve you diligently without discrimination for those who voted for me and those who did not vote for me. I want to assure you that my commitment is to serve you, the people of Teso South. Thank you so much, and thank you, Majority, for giving me this opportunity.
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. That I gave them. The other thing that I would like to say is that Igembe is a unique constituency. It is partially engulfed by Isiolo, and currently most of the population is highly ravaged by the famine, and we
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And first of all, I'd like to congratulate you for being elected the Deputy Speaker. I also like to thank the majority for giving me this opportunity. First of all, I want to, Madam Speaker, I want sincerely to appreciate and salute the people of Narok South constituency for electing me as a member of Parliament. Without any doubt, I want to promise the good people of Narok South that I shall work hard to fulfill pledges that I made during the campaign period, so that we can deal with the real issues and historical issues that affected our people over the years. Madam Speaker, like other parts of this republic, Narok South constituency has gotten its shares of challenges.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for your indulgence, and I now beg to reply.
That the thanks of the House be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the address of the President delivered on Thursday, September 29th, the year 2022. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Those with the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Honorable members, and the time being 8 p.m., this House stands adjourned until Wednesday, the 12th October, 2022 at 9:30 a.m.